Welcome to the Northwest Sports Fanatics YouTube channel. I'm your host, Orion. I got a great show for you here today with the Seattle Mariners versus the Chicago White Sox. First pitch is going to be here in roughly 5 minutes, so let's cue up the music, take a look at the thumb, and let's get into the starting lineups. Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome back to the team. Third baseman, Brendan Donovan. God, we have missed you. And on the right, White Sox stud, Chase Mydrov. Now let's get into the starting lineups here first for the visiting Seattle Mariners. And just based on looking at paper, it's one of the best lineups I've seen in quite some time. Let's get the dub here today on the road in Chicago. Leading off for the Mariners at third base, welcome back. It's Brendan Donovan. Batting second, catching today for the first time since the injury, big dumper Cal Raleigh. Batting third, playing center field, it's J-Rod Julio Rodriguez. He has been extremely hot within the last 20 games. Keep it going, Julio. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, first baseman, it's Nails, Josh Naylor. Batting fifth, playing left field, Randy Arozarena. Batting sixth, playing shortstop, J.P. Crawford. Batting seventh, playing right field, Luke Raleigh. Batting eighth, DHing today for Seattle, the Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone. And batting ninth at second base, Cole Clutch Young. And on the mound for the Mariners, one of our aces, 2-1 record, ERA of 2.59. It is Emerson Hancock. And now let's get into the starting lineups for the most improved from last season to this season, the Chicago White Sox. Leading off for the White Sox in left field, Sam Antonacci. Batting second from Japan, playing first base, Munetaka Murakami. And you know when you're hitting the same amount or around the same amount of home runs as Aaron Judge at the top of the leaderboard, you know you're doing something great. Batting third, playing third base, the former Dodger, Miguel Vargas. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, shortstop, Colson Montgomery. Batting fifth, playing second base, Chase Mydrov. Batting sixth, DHing for Chicago, the former Red Sox, Andrew Benintendi. Batting seventh, playing right field, the former Seattle Mariner and Atlanta Brave, Jared Kelenic. It's going to be interesting to see how Jared plays in this series versus his former team. Batting eighth, playing center field, Tristan Peters. And batting ninth, catching today for Chicago, Drew Romo. And on the mound for the White Sox with a 2-2 record, an ERA of 2.72, Sean Burke. Right ends up. Let's go, Ems. I'm so excited that we finally got Donnie back from the injury. Cal is catching for the very first time in a few games as well. And again, with Logan Gilbert and Luis Castillo on the mound next, this is a must-win game for Seattle here tonight. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. We're going to be shooting for 100 likes, 100 on that dono train, and 5 to 15 subs. We are 99 subs away from 24,100. Let's see if we can make a dent in that number as well. All right, let's get all situated and settled in. Michelle in the building. What's good? Let's go Mariners all day in the building. Ooh, going camping. And again, you know, any kind of updates that you can get, depending on if you have service. Obviously, I'll be doing every single game within the series. Have a great camping trip with the fam, and hopefully the Mariners will be able to hold it down in your absence. The White Sox in the past when they're, one of the bottom feeders in MLB. And even with that being said, traditionally, we don't really play that great against the White Sox. Sometimes there's rain, and when there's a delay, we know what happens in that situation. So at least we have the sun out there in Chicago here tonight. And again, we have Donnie back. Cal is catching. This is the best lineup we've had 1 through 9 in ages. And we got one of our top 2 pitchers on the mound. Obviously, we know Brian Wu had, given up 7 runs and 6 runs to the Cardinals and the Royals, but looked very good in his last start. So maybe we have 3 good pitchers now with George Kirby, Emerson Hancock, and Brian Wu, and still with Logan Gilbert. And obviously, as we know, Luis Castillo is a liability. But again, we have to be able to try to get the job done here tonight, because we don't really know what's going to happen with Logan on the mound as well as Castillo. It kind of feels like, when those 2 guys are on the mound, we're going to have to try to put up 5 to 10 runs, and again, if we're not able to do that, then it might be tough sledding for the rest of the games. And White Sox are wearing their Chicago Bull alternates, which are very unusual. Obviously, you don't really see them in the, Bulls colors with the red and the black, but sometimes they'll, do some of these, kind of City Connect promo type of jerseys and whatnot. And definitely excited to see how this one will play out. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. And again, this team is going to have a lot of ups and a lot of downs. We're going to go through peaks and we're going to go through valleys. And again, it's going to be one of those things where, we got to just try to do our best, in every single series. First pitch to Brendan Donovan, fouls that one off, high and away, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch. And Donnie pops it up into center field. Should be a routine play there for the defense. And Tristan Peters with the hustle, making the play. Down goes Donnie, and that is 1 away. Sean Burke on the mound. And Donnie just flew out to center. Nice catch there by Tristan Peters, but hopefully Donnie will be able to make a difference offensively and defensively. Next up is the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. First pitch to Cal, takes a strike looking, 93 miles an hour, right down the middle, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, big, swing and a miss, high and away, cutter, 90 miles an hour there by Sean Burke. No balls and 2 strikes to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. 0-2 pitch, big, swing and a miss, down goes Cal. Burke is on a heater here early. And that is 2 away. Donnie flies out on the second pitch. Welcome back to the team after more than 10 games away from the team, and we definitely missed his presence. Cal catching for the first time, so I imagine this will lead to better play from him. Obviously, first 2 games DHing went 0 for 4, both of those. But someone who has been hot lately is Julio Rodriguez. First pitch, high and inside, 4-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, hard hit ball. And Tristan Peters calls off Jared Kelenic there in right field. The former Seattle Mariner pops up and pops out, and that is out number 3. And again, this is not going to be easy. I think even when the White Sox were bad, it was always kind of a challenging series because we know that they typically have rain, and if we have any rain delays, we know how that went last year for us and in years past. So at least the weather is good here today. They're in Chicago and they're much improved. Their pitching is improved, their hitting is improved, and they ended up getting the Japanese stud, the number 1, hot commodity, Munetaka Murakami. And again, we saw him in the WBC. And anytime you can end up being right up there, with Aaron Judge and Matt Olson for home runs early this, part of the season, you're doing something good. So again, they've been able to get some good production out of their hitters. They've been able to get some good production out of their pitchers. We're going to have to earn this one. And again, we're not going to have our best pitchers out there. We got Hancock tonight, so I feel confident today. But then with Logan Gilbert and Luis Castillo on Saturday and Sunday, we better score 5 to 10 runs each in those games. Otherwise, we might only end up winning one game, but I'm hoping that we can win 2 out of 3. And obviously, if we win the first 2, then we can start talking about sweep, but we're far from that at this very moment. Now let's go to the bottom of the first inning and see who's up next here for the White Sox. Leading off for the White Sox, left fielder Sam Antonacci. Batting second, first baseman stud from Japan, Munetaka Murakami. Got to be very careful on how you pitch to him. He has been on a heater this year. And batting third, the former Dodger third baseman, Miguel Vargas. And on the mound for the Mariners, one of our very best with George Kirby and Brian Wu. 2-1 record, ERA of 2.59, Emerson Hancock. Let's go, baby. Yeah, Kelenic is definitely a bust. He was on the Mariners and then obviously had kind of the, hothead issues, kicked the cooler, ended up going to the Braves, couldn't make it there. He's been going up and down, through the minor league system and the farm system with a lot of these other teams. And now he's on the White Sox. And again, we'll see how he plays. He might play pretty good against the Mariners, but, I don't think that he really lived up to, what the potential could have been. 1-0 pitch, big swing and a miss, low and away. Nasty sinker there, 93 miles an hour by Hancock. Back-to-back sinkers here from Hancock, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike with nobody on and no outs. Bottom of the first inning, 0-0 Mariners and White Sox. 1-1 pitch, takes a strike looking high and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Sam Antonacci, and they're wearing their Chicago Bull alternate jerseys here where you got the red and the black stripes. It definitely reminds me of the Jordan Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Tony Kukoc era. And again, they look pretty slick out there. It's a little weird seeing that kind of basketball jersey look on, this baseball team, but, maybe it'll give them that extra oomph, in the lineup here today. 1-2 pitch, low and at the knees, sweeper, 78 miles an hour there by Emerson Hancock. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Sam Antonacci. But again, even though, Kelenic might be a bust to a lot of people, he's still in the big league. So, he's not out of the league yet, but we'll see, how his career progresses. Long, hard hit ball, deep center field. Julio is there. Good defense there by J-Rod in the no-fly zone, and that is 1 away. Angry in the building. What's good? And Antonacci flies out. Nice job there by Julio Rodriguez. We can count on him in the no-fly zone. And next up is Munetaka Murakami. Got to be very careful on how you pitch to him. First pitch is high and away. 1-0 count. And again, anytime you can be at, 14, 15 home runs like Judge, Matt Olson, and Murakami with only 37 games in, you are raking. 1-0 pitch, popped up, hard hit ball, deep left field, back, gone! And Murakami strikes again, and I'm not surprised. This guy has been as good as anybody in MLB, and I guess we have to be happy it was only a solo dinger rather than a 2-run blast. This guy has been hitting homers off everyone. Great pitchers, average pitchers, bad pitchers, it doesn't matter. Murakami is a star, and again, another home run, 380 feet to left. 1-0 Chicago. We're going to have to earn every single game against this team, especially with a guy like Murakami. Next up in the 3-hole, third baseman Miguel Vargas. Now, luckily, besides Murakami, they don't really have anybody else really to fear. Again, it's not like they got a bunch of them. Murakami is really the main one that, he's going to get his. Popped up into shallow right field, and Luke Raleigh is there. And that is 2 away. So, again, if we give up a home run here, a home run there, as long as it's solo dingers, we should be fine. But once it ends up being, 3-run bomb, 2-run jacks, grand salamis, then we might, be talking another tune. But at least for now, it is what it is. And again, he was, raking. Again, we've had, a lot of singles hitters in Japan. And then, you've started to see a little bit more well-rounded players lately, Seiya Suzuki on the Cubs. But obviously, this is a guy that, kind of gives you the Hideki Matsui vibes, back when he first came over. But he's much better than Matsui. So, he's staying hot here early and often. 0-1 pitch. high and away and low and away with that sweeper, 78 miles an hour to Colson Montgomery. 1 ball and 1 strike with nobody on and 2 outs. Bottom of the first inning, White Sox striking early on Hancock. And honestly, it doesn't matter if it's Hancock, Kirby, Wu, Castillo, or Gilbert. He's a guy that more than likely will homer, every game in the series. And if not every game, it'll probably be 2 games, out of 3. And we got to make sure that he doesn't homer 2 times in 1 game because he's that damn good. He's right there on that Judge, Matt Olson level right now, and he's playing like an MVP. And the White Sox are, definitely feeling, the presence. Because again, if you don't have him, you don't have the record that you have. 1-2 pitch, take strike 3 looking. There we go. Way to respond back after giving up the home run. And again, I know Emerson Hancock is probably displeased with himself, but if you've actually watched, Munetaka Murakami and looked at his stat line, up to this game, this is not really a big surprise. End of the first inning, 1-0 Chicago. But we just have to limit the damage with Murakami. Everyone else, we should be able to dominate, so to speak. And then I am a little curious to see how Jared Kelenic will play against his former team. When he plays the Braves, when he plays the Mariners, I assume that he'll be trying to do everything in his power to show that, hey, I can still play in this league. But we will wait and see. End of the first inning, 1-0 Chicago. Now let's see if we can tie this game up and get back on the board. See who's up next year for Seattle. Next up for the Mariners in the 4-hole, first baseman, it's Nails, Josh Naylor. Batting second in the 5-hole, left fielder, Randy Arozarena. And batting third in the 6-hole, shortstop, J.P. Crawford. So I ended up, watching some film and reading some articles and whatnot. And I know that we have some issues with Mooney, as our closer with, his mental health and his grip, as well as just being a good player as a closer. So if we end up benching him or moving him into the 8th inning and possibly putting Castillo in the bullpen once we get Bryce Miller back and, eventually Cade Anderson will get called up at some point this season as well. They can use, obviously, Hoppy, but since he's so raw, they're not going to more than likely. They'll use him in the 6th, 7th, or 8th. But again, Jose Ferrer, we know his numbers on paper look pretty good, but I was actually going into last season with the Nationals. He actually was their closer for half the season. So realistically, if they decide to bench or, kind of demote Andres Munoz until he's ready, or until maybe Matt Brash is healthy, we can probably put Jose Ferrer, as our closer. Yeah, it's a little shaky and it makes you a little worried. But again, Ferrer has been playing better than Mooney. And again, he has, closer experience with the Nationals last season. So if they decide to go that route, that's why. First pitch from Burke to Naylor, low and away. Knuckle curve, 77 miles an hour, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch, hard hit ball by Naylor. There we go. Gets past the first baseman, Murakami. And there we go. Again, we had a hard time, getting things past Matt Olson, getting things past, the Kansas City Royals as well. And again, when you end up having a first baseman that kind of gobbles everything up, you want to be able to get a little lucky once in a while. Nice job there. Josh Naylor with a laser to Murakami. He can't handle it. And that is a single for Josh Naylor. Next up is Randy Arozarena. First pitch to Randy, high and inside with that slider. 85 miles an hour there by Sean Burke. 1-0 count. One 0 pitch. Big swing and a miss there by Arozarena with the slider, 84 miles an hour. 1 ball and 1 strike from Burke to Randy. Vinny Pasquantino and Matt Olson gobbled up all those balls at first base. And we know Munetaka Murakami obviously can hit homers, but we should be able to get a few, balls past him on first base and down that line. 1-1 pitch, low and at the knees. Good eye there by Arozarena. Sinker, 92 miles an hour. 2 balls and 1 strike with a runner at first. Josh Naylor with no outs. Top of the second inning, 1-0 Chicago, with a Munetaka Murakami solo dinger in the first inning. And again, hopefully we can limit the damage. 2-1 pitch, and that hits Randy. And Randy throws the bat in a little bit of disgust. And He'll make his way to first, and hopefully we'll be able to tie this game up or take the lead here in the top of the second inning. We got runners at first and second with no outs. I like it. And that one got away from Burke there. Randy goes to first. Naylor is now at second. Next up, a player that's been a hero for us, quite a few times on offense at least, J.P. Crawford. Let's go, J.P. Defense has been a little bit suspect, within the last few weeks, but, he definitely has been giving us, game-winning home runs, game-winning RBIs, and clutch hits, as of late, as he knows that his job obviously is in jeopardy after this season and maybe even later in the season when Colt Emerson gets called up. First pitch is high and away, four-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour, 1-0 count. 1-0 pitch to JP, takes a strike looking on the corner, cutter, 91 miles an hour, 1 ball and 1 strike to JP Crawford. Let's go, JP. Yeah, Randy has actually been one of the most consistent hitters on the team, believe it or not. I mean, even though we have seen him go, 0 for 4 and 0 for 5, it kind of feels like more times than not, but, he's kind of quietly, being one of the better hitters since the beginning of the year. But remember, when we were one of the worst teams in hitting in baseball, batting 188 prior to the Astros series, it was pretty much just him, Cole Young, and Brendan Donovan. So 1-2 pitch, hard hit ball, laser towards third base, into left field, and foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes with runners at first and second and no outs. Top of the second inning, 1-0 Chicago. They're wearing the Chicago Bull themed jerseys tonight. They actually look kind of sharp. And again, hopefully they got the black pants with the red striping, obviously down the leg. And, when you look at the tops, it looks just like a Michael Jordan or Scottie Pippen type of jersey. Ball goes into the dugout, and JP should be able to go to first, you would assume, right? See what the home umpire calls here. All right, strikeout, wild pitch. So down goes JP. And runners end up advancing to second and third with 1 out. Crawford strikes out swinging. I didn't know if he ended up getting a tip of that or not, but obviously he did not, and then ended up going back into the backstop there. And with that wild pitch, Naylor to third and Randy to second. Let's see if we can tie this game up or take the lead. Next up is Luke Raleigh. First pitch right down the middle to Luke Raleigh. Hopefully we can get a nuke. 0-1 count. Yeah, I mean, everyone remembers, the old school era, obviously with Horace Grant and B.J. Armstrong and, the original Bill Cartwright, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, in that first three-peat, and then obviously the second three-peat with Kukoc and Rodman and Scotty and MJ. So, they definitely, were the team in the 90s. There's no doubt about that. 0-1 pitch, fouled off behind the plate. Four-seam fastball, 96 miles an hour there by Sean Burke. No balls and 2 strikes to Luke Raleigh. 0-2 pitch, hard hit ball towards first base, and just foul. That would have brought in 2 easily. Come on, Luke. Top of the second inning, runners at second and third with 1 out. Munetaka Murakami from Japan played in the WBC and got a lot of pointers from Shohei Ohtani. They're very tight, trying to get him prepped on what to expect as he made his first trip into the big leagues, and he definitely has not surprised anybody. People knew that he was going to be good, but maybe not this good. 0-2 pitch, and that goes into left field, out of play. But again, it all depends if you watch the WBC or not. You could see the potential, but definitely felt that he would be at 5 to 10 home runs at least. And, when you're peaking at like 14, 15 right there with Olsen and Judge, then that, you're going to be in consideration of, some MVP votes for a bad team, and he's making a mediocre to average. 0-2 pitch, high and away. One-two pitch, big swing and a miss. Down goes Luke Raleigh. A big punch out there for Sean Burke, and that is 2 away. Come on, Mariners. Down goes Raleigh. Down goes JP, striking out, swinging. We need the Italian stallion, Dominic Canzone, to come up big here with an RBI single, RBI double, or a 3-run blast. Let's go, Dom. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. First pitch, high and away. 1-0 count. Knuckle curve, 79 miles an hour there by Sean Burke. Daniel in the building, what's good? 1-0 pitch, high and away, knuckle curve, 80 miles an hour. 2 balls and no strikes to Dominic Canzone. Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about the best players in the world, it's definitely Ohtani and Judge. You know, there's no doubt about that, especially with their consistency. But with Ohtani being able to pitch and hit, that kind of gives him a little bit of an edge over Judge, even though we know Judge is incredible. 2-0 pitch, right down the middle for a strike to Dominic Canzone. Good patient at-bat here for Dom. Normally, he's already out by the second pitch, you know, more times than not, at least in his first 2 at-bats traditionally. So let's see if he can end up working this count and finding that perfect pitch, pitch 4, pitch 5, pitch 6, to be able to do some damage here. 2-1 pitch, low and at the knees. Great patience there. Burke goes into the dirt. 3 balls and 1 strike to Dominic Canzone. Come on, Dom. And a lot of knuckle curves. You know, again, Burke is throwing knuckle curves, you know, almost on every pitch, obviously up to this point, and every pitch to Dom so far. I'm a little surprised. 3-1 pitch from Burke. High and away, and we get a walk, baby. Great at bat for Dominic Canzone. And again, if that was, you know, maybe earlier in the year, he definitely would have struck out. So nice patience there by Dom. And now we get the guy that is the most clutch with the most RBIs on the team so far with 20. Second baseman, Cole Clutch Young. Let's go, Cole. Single, double, triple, home run. We'll take anything. Let's go, Cole. Big RBI opportunity here to add on to his total. First pitch, crushes it into left field, out of play. Four-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour there by Burke. 0-1 count. Try dance up. Let's go, M's. Oh, 1 pitch. Ooh, it hit him. There we go. He gets hit in the arm, but he's okay. And that ties the game up. There we go. I don't like getting my guy, you know, hit. But again, he's already hit Randy and Cole. And again, we haven't really been able to benefit off guys getting walked or guys getting hit a whole lot this year. Randy got hit, you know, early in this at-bat. And then obviously Cole Young getting hit in the arm, but he's okay. Now the game is tied. Welcome back to the team, third baseman Brendan Donovan. And we don't need Donnie to hit a home run per se, but let's see if Donnie can get an RBI here. First pitch, right down the middle for a strike. 0-1 count. Young with 21 ribbies, which is number 1 on the team. Number 2 is Cal Raleigh, then Julio and Naylor. And he's throwing knuckle curves almost on every pitch, which is wild. I don't think we've seen any pitcher the Mariners have faced throwing knuckle curves like every single pitch. Come on, Donnie. Had to put him on the thumb today. 0-1 pitch. Popped it up, and luckily out of play. He finally throws a pitch, not a knuckle curve, a cutter. 92 miles an hour there by Sean Burke. No balls and 2 strikes with bases loaded and 2 outs. We've already tied the game up. But again, we want to make sure we get a lead early and often, especially with Hancock on the mound, and we'll have Gilbert and Castillo. And again, we know how they've been pitching lately. Not very good. 0-2 pitch goes behind the plate, off the pole, and foul. No balls and 2 strikes to Brendan Donovan. And when we end up playing with Gilbert tomorrow and Castillo on Sunday, we're probably going to have to put up 5 to 10 runs and probably closer to 7 to 10 if those guys end up giving up 4 or 5 runs or more in their starts, unless they end up having good games this weekend. 0-2 pitch, low and at the knees. Great patience there for Donnie. And again, we've missed him. You know, we missed Cal Raleigh, you know, at catcher, and we had him DH twice and obviously went 0 for 4 in both of those games. Didn't really look like the timing was down just yet. But Donnie is so important to this team to have a good leadoff hitter, even though JP did a pretty good job in his absence. 1-2 pitch to Donnie. Hard hit ball and out of play. Foul. 1 career grand slam there for Donnie, September 22nd, 2022 versus the Padres. And I like the way that Donnie is playing. You know, he is a very smart player, a patient player, and you didn't know if he would be a little bit antsy, you know, in his first game back, but he's looking just like he did in the past. 1-2 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Brendan Donovan. 2-2 pitch. Popped up. Should be an easy play in center field for Peters, and there he is, and that is out number 3. Donnie can't get the RBI early, but at least he's hitting with contact in both of his at-bats. And on the flip side, at least we ended up tying the game up. I mean, obviously, that was an opportunity where we could have, gotten 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1. But again, Burke has hit 2 guys already, Randy and Cole. And again, if that's going to be the type of game that we're going to get, you have to assume the big inning is just right around the corner. But on the flip side, at least we tied the game up 1-1. All right, let's go to the bottom of the second inning and see who's up next here for the Chicago White Sox. Next up for the White Sox in the 5-hole, second baseman Chase Mydroth. Batting second in the 6-hole, DHing former Boston Red Sox, now White Sox, Andrew Benintendi. And batting third in the 7-hole, right fielder, formerly of the Seattle Mariners and the Atlanta Braves, Jared Kelenic. And on the mound for the Mariners, with a 2-1 record, ERA of 2.59 coming in, Emerson Hancock. Trident's up. Let's go, Ems. Gained another sub since the last commercial break. Appreciate you. 98 subs to go to 24,100. All right, we're at 39 likes, 61 to 100. And we're still looking for our first dono on the dono train. First pitch to Chase Mydroth from Emerson Hancock. Takes a strike looking with a 4-seam fastball right down the middle, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Chase Mydroth. I will. Pup is doing good. And we went on a couple walks already today, and I'm hoping to have a nice victory walk later tonight. 1-1 pitch, hard hit ball, deep right field, fading foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Chase Mydroth. Let him know, Van. 1-2 pitch, popped up and out of play. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Bottom of the second inning, we're knotted up at 1. 1-2 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Hancock to Mydroth. 2-2 pitch, popped up and out of play. Count still remains 2 balls and 2 strikes from Hancock to Mydroth. 2-2 pitch, popped up and out of play behind the plate. Mydroth is one of those grinders, and again, he's not an easy guy to get out. We got him on the thumb with Brandon Donovan, and again, we got to watch out for him offensively and defensively. He's a guy that definitely will grind out some really long at-bats. He did it last year against us, and he's already doing it here again. 2-2 pitch, and we finally got him on a big swing and a miss there on pitch number 8, and down goes Mydroth, and that is 1 away. Nice job there by Emerson Hancock. Way to bring the electricity, M. And again, Emerson, Hancock got better from last year, and Logan Gilbert got worse. So they kind of flip-flopped. We knew Kirby and Wu are going to be electric, and then obviously Castillo has more times than not been a liability, and I assume that we'll be moving him into the pen sooner than later. First pitch to Benintendi in right field. Luke Raleigh is there, and that is 2 away. Down goes Benintendi on the first pitch. Next up, the former Mariner and the former Atlanta Brave right fielder, Jarred Kelenic. And then I know he ended up meeting up with Julio in pregame. There was a few photos circulating online through the Mariners and some of the beat writers and whatnot. So obviously Kelenic still keeps up, with a few of the guys, and they may not be as tight as they were when they were teammates, but, still, having a little conversation here and there. First pitch to Kelenic, low and away, 1-0 count. What could have been if Jarred would have been able to pan out, but again, a little bit of immaturity, and again, sometimes that happens by being a young player, and, at least he's not out of the league. He's bounced around from a few teams after Seattle, with Atlanta and now Chicago, but hopefully he'll be able to stay in the big leagues and get better. But, definitely has struggled, a career 211 hitter, and usually that ain't going to get the job done. 2-0 pitch, hard hit ball and foul. 2 balls and 1 strike from Hancock to Kelenic. Oh, you already know, Will. That was someone that we didn't expect to be there. We needed someone to be like a Simeon Rice type of player. We haven't had one in a long, long time. The defense was a big liability last year, and we had one of the best drafts, top 5 in the NFL, and I think Bain is going to be a stud. Hard hit ball to Brendan Donovan, throw to Naylor, and that is out number 3. Nice job there by Donnie. We can always count on his defense and more times than not his offense as well. But yeah, Ruben Bain, very excited to be able to see what he brings. And again, with Vita Vea and, we ended up losing a few pieces, no more Levante David, retired. Mike Evans went to the Niners. So still, we got a long ways to go. But again, the Bain pick was amazing. End of the second inning, we're knotted up at 1. Now let's go to the top of the third inning and see who's up next here for the Mariners. But I would agree with you. I think it was the steal of the draft. There's no doubt about that. I mean, Bain could have been a top 5 pick, and to get him, at 15, it's unreal. But again, we've had a very good GM for quite some times, with Jason Light. So anytime you end up having someone that, knows how to draft, it really does make your team that much better. Next up for the Mariners in the top of the third, 0 for 1 with a K. Welcome back to the catching duties, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Batting second, 0 for 1 center fielder in the 3-hole who's been hot in the last 20 games, Julio Rodriguez. Let's go, J-Rod. And batting third, 1 for 1 with a run, first baseman, it's Nails, Josh Naylor. Trident's up. Let's go, Ems. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. 98 subs to go to 24,100. We're at 45 likes, 55 to 100 with 154 in the room. Yeah, and Kelenic has actually spent a lot of his time in the minors. It's not like he's been in the major leagues, a lot. Obviously Atlanta sent him down pretty quick, and, he had to fight his way back to kind of come up. And then, with the White Sox, I would assume, depending on how their depth looks like, it wouldn't be shocking if he gets sent down, even on the White Sox at some point this season. It's possible, but, hopefully, he'll do better. First pitch to Cal Raleigh, hard hit ball, deep right field, staying in play. Kelenic is there, and that is 1 away. Down goes Cal Raleigh. Hopefully he'll be able to work the count on a few of the at-bats moving forward. But great to have him back catching. Next up is Julio Rodriguez. First pitch takes a strike, looking with the slider down the middle. 0-1 count. 85 miles an hour there by Sean Burke. 0-1 pitch to Julio. Popped it up. If he just would have been patient there, that would have been a ball outside. But Murakami comes in and ends Julio on a pop-up in foul territory, and that is 2 away. We're going to need, Cal and Julio to be a little bit more patient in the box. Next up is first baseman Josh Naylor. TJ in the building, what's good? First pitch in there to Naylor for a strike. Four-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour, high and inside, 0-1 count. Both teams have 1 run and 1 hit apiece. Murakami homered to left 380 feet in the first inning, and Young got hit by a pitch when we had bases loaded. Randy also got hit in that inning as well, and we ended up bringing that kind of cheap run home, but we'll take it, and we're knotted up at 1. It's going to be a war and a battle with this team. They are much improved from last year and the year before. 1-1 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 1 strike to Josh Naylor. And I know a lot of people were wondering, why did Murakami sign with the White Sox? There could have been maybe other options because a lot of the Japanese players typically go to the Dodgers. We had one go to the Blue Jays, who's actually doing pretty well. And obviously Murakami going here to the White Sox. But he's definitely putting the White Sox on the map. And I think that was part of it, Wanted to be able to separate himself from some of the other Japanese players and try to make a bad team relevant. And he is accomplishing that already. Not only for the team, but for his individual stats. When you're up there with Judge and Matt Olson for tops and home runs already in 37 games in, you're doing something great. 2-2 pitch, hard hit ball towards first, and it gets past Murakami, rolls all the way to Jared Kelenic, and there we go. We haven't had an opportunity to get balls past, the first baseman in the last 2 series, and it's nice to be able to get that done here. Josh Naylor having a good game here, 2 for 2. Nice job, Josh. Next up, in the 5-hole left fielder, Randy Arozarena. And if there's one part of Murakami's game that he could improve on, it's definitely defense at first base. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Next up is Randy Arozarena. Let's see if we can keep this inning rolling. First pitch, Randy, little blooper, shallow left field. Will it drop? And it does. There we go. Nice job, Randy. I like it. Now we got runners at first and second again here with 2 outs. Now let's see if JP Crawford can keep this inning going. Trident's up. Let's go, JP. There's definitely going to be some wiggle room on this team, defensively. The White Sox, are definitely a team that you can expose, from time to time. It's not going to be one of their strong suits game in and game out. Pitching and their hitting obviously have been much improved, but there is a little wiggle room there. First pitch gets away from the catcher there. Takes a strike looking low and away, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch from Burke to Crawford, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to JP Crawford. Yeah, Will, and I'm looking forward to the NFC South matchups with the Bucks and the Falcons and the Saints and the Panthers. It's going to be very interesting as we go into the year, no doubt. I'm definitely going to be missing Levante David and Mike Evans, though. I'll tell you that. 1-1 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 1 strike to JP Crawford, but very excited about Ruben Bain, let me tell you. Top of the 3rd inning, runners at first and second with 2 outs. We're knotted up at 1. Burke has been a little wild and having, I wouldn't say a meltdown, but, it definitely has helped us out by hitting a couple guys, which we haven't really been able to take advantage of too much this season with a lot of hit by pitches and walks, but this looks like a series that we might be able to. 2-1 pitch, high and away. Cutter, 89 miles an hour missing. 3 balls and 1 strike to JP Crawford. Be patient, JP. If it's not there, take the walk. 3-1 pitch. There we go. Good patience from Crawford. And now we got bases loaded again. And maybe we'll get another guy hit. And, or walked, and we can get another freebie unless we can end up getting a big grand salami out of Luke Raleigh. Luke, we need a nuke. RBI single, RBI double, or grand salami to open the game up. Let's go. Bring the electricity, Luke Raleigh. They have a mound visit already. But it's always pleasant to see a meltdown by a starting pitcher on the opposing team. Especially when we're going to have Gilbert and Castillo on the mound tomorrow. Gilbert, and then Sunday Castillo, and more times than not, it feels like they're giving up 4 to 7 runs every start. So, we're going to have to really have the offense be flying, not only today, but obviously this weekend on Saturday and Sunday if we want to win this series. Jason in the building, what's good? First pitch, big swing and a miss there by Luke Raleigh, 0-1 count. Jimbo's in the building, what's good? Top of the third inning, we're knotted up at 1 with bases loaded again. Can we get a little bit more than just 1 this time around? 0-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss. Come on, Luke. We don't need you to be the Luke Raleigh from last season where your timing was off in the box and you were a liability in right field. Patience, my man. Come on, Luke. We don't even need a home run. Just, get an RBI single so we can take the lead. Single swing. Doesn't have to be a home run swing every time. 0-2 pitch. Hard hit ball. Deep right field. Back. Gone! Grand salami by Luke Raleigh. Luke says, hey, I'll do single swings once in a while, but I'm going to go for the big one here. And a big grand salami, a nuke by Luke Raleigh. 5-1 Mariners. Let's go. Nice job. I would have been happy with an RBI single, but when you get a grand salami, more times than not, as long as our bullpen doesn't have a meltdown, we're going to win this game. Let's go. Nice job, Luke. Hell yeah. And let's be honest, most times when Luke misses on the first 2 pitches, it usually ends up being a strikeout, not a grand slam. Normally when he gets a grand slam, it's on a 3-0 count or a 3-1. So again, to miss on the first 2 and then to be able to get a grand slam on that pitch is very impressive. That is not something that Luke does very often in an 0-2 count. Little slow dribbler here by Canzone, toe tap on the bag, and that is the end of the inning, but not after. Luke Raleigh gets the grand salami. Great job, Luke. And again, we haven't been able to get too many grand salamis and big nukes like that, and that is awesome, especially with the way that Munetaka Murakami has been playing. I mean, again, RBI single, RBI double would have been great. 2-1, 3-1. And again, I was shocked. I normally, 0-2 counts, big swings and misses by Luke. It typically is a strikeout. And again, got a hold of one right down the middle. And I'm happy that Burke is having a meltdown. 5-1 Mariners. Trident's up. Awesome job by Luke. Get the mustard and rye bread, Grandma. And it's not like we're going to have too many of those throughout the season. They're going to be, far and few between. But great job there by Luke Raleigh stepping up and getting the job done in an 0-2 count. I'm very impressed. Let's see if Luke has another home run in him later in the game. Now let's see who's up next here for the White Sox as we go to the bottom of the third inning. I like what I'm seeing here early. This is a must-win game with Gilbert and Castillo on the mound tomorrow. Next up in the 8-hole, center fielder Tristan Peters. Batting second in the 9-hole, catcher Drew Romo. No relation to Tony, I believe. And batting third, 0-for-1, left fielder Sam Antonacci. Yeah, not related to Drew. Tony Romo. All right, we gained another sub since the last commercial break. Appreciate you. 97 subs to go to 24,100. 1-0 pitch. Popped up and fouled off. 1 ball and 1 strike to Tristan Peters. 1-1 pitch. High and away. 4-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour there by Emerson Hancock. 2 balls and 1 strike with nobody on and no outs. Bottom of the 3rd inning. 5-1 Mariners. And again, anytime you can end up doing that on the road, it definitely is an amazing feeling. We've had a lot of peaks and valleys, ups and downs. We got Donnie back in the lineup, Cal catching. Felt good about today. 3-1 pitch, and that's outside, and that is a walk there by Emerson Hancock. Don with a 5er, appreciate you. I hope you had a great time there in Seattle when you ended up going to the game with the family. Don puts us at 5, 95 to go to hit our Dono goal. Appreciate you. Shout out to you and your family. First pitch to Drew Romo, no relation to Tony. Low and at the knees, 1-0 count with that cutter. That ends up missing. 87 miles an hour there by Emerson Hancock. Velasco in the building. What's good? Well, we're getting a meltdown by the other pitcher. So, we've been able to get bases loaded a couple times. And little dribbler to Hancock, underhand throw to Naylor. And that is 1 away. But just a quick recap, Murakami ended up hitting a home run early in the game in the bottom of the 1st inning, 1-0 Chicago. So that was kind of a sucker punch, an uppercut that we had to take. But when we had bases loaded in the top of the 2nd, Young got hit by a pitch, and then we ended up getting that runner to come home 1-1. We weren't able to capitalize after that, though. And then obviously with bases loaded again in the 3rd, Luke Raleigh, grand salami with Naylor, Randy, and Crawford on board. And again, to be able to get walks and to be able to get guys, hit by pitches is definitely helping out the cause here today. And again, we definitely can appreciate that. First pitch to Sam Antonacci, high and away, 1-0 count. One-0 pitch, high and away with a cutter. 2 balls and no strikes to Sam Antonacci. 2-0 pitch, high and away. Takes a strike looking a little bit outside. Could have been a ball, but, it is what it is. 2-1 pitch, fouled off, high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Sam Antonacci. I got you, Velasco. But to get bases loaded, more than once in the, 2 times in the first, 3 innings, you're going to do something good. And Antonacci with a little slapper there that's going to turn into an RBI for the Chicago White Sox, rocking the Chicago Bull throwback alternate jerseys. And Antonacci with an RBI, and that makes it 5-2 Seattle. It's going to be, a war playing this team. It's not going to be easy. They definitely have a new identity, after getting Munetaka Murakami on this team. "56 home runs there in Japan last season. And Munetaka Murakami trying to do the same damn thing here in the big leagues in the MLB. First pitch fouled off by Murakami, 0-1 count. And he definitely will be one of the better, he'll be known as the power hitter, as a top guy for Japanese players, just like Ichiro, was the top singles hitter and, an amazing defender. Murakami obviously is going to be that, power hitter, better than Hideki Matsui. And then obviously all around player, Seiya Suzuki there on the Cubs is a little bit of everything. So it's like you're going to get a little bit, of everything in the MLB, especially from this, newer generation, from these Japanese players. And then we know Ohtani obviously is the best player in MLB, not named Aaron Judge, and he can do it all. He can hit, he can pitch. What can Ohtani not do? I mean, he can do it all. And we got a mound visit here by Cal with that pitch low and at the knees to Murakami. And you don't really want to pitch him down the middle at all. I mean, again, if we end up walking him, I don't mind, and if we're going to pitch to him, you got to pitch to him inside or outside. If you're going to go right down the middle, hold your breath, because, I mean, again, he's been hitting home runs on elite pitchers, home runs on above average pitchers, average and bad pitchers. So, it's not like he's taking advantage of pitchers that are just crappy. He's really showing that he can do everything that he did in Japan and some. And again, if he's at the top of the leaderboard with Judge and Matt Olson with home runs already, with only 37, 38 games in, and you're sitting around 14, 15 home runs, that's crazy. 2-1 pitch, low and away. 3 balls and 1 strike from Hancock to Murakami. We just got to make sure if we're going to walk him, that the guys after him don't make us pay. I know White Sox fans want to see everyone pitch to him down the middle, but again, he's pacing for quite a few home runs already. 3-1 pitch, fouled off right down the middle, out of play. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Munetaka Murakami, the Japanese superstar that signed in the offseason to the Chicago White Sox. Look at that. Murakami, Wood, Kurtz, Mitchell, and Judge. That's a good list. 3-2 pitch. And I'm kind of surprised Hancock and Cal are just testing him right down the middle. I mean, he already hit a home run on us once already. Do we want him to hit another to make this game 5-4? I sure as hell don't. I mean, he already homered once. We don't want him to homer again. And he's the type of guy that could homer in every game in the series, or at least in 2 games of the series out of 3. And he can multi-homer in games. He's that good. 3-2 pitch. And that ends up being a walk as the runner flashes to second. Murakami to first, as they're wearing the Chicago Bull themed jerseys. Next up, the former Dodger, third baseman Miguel Vargas. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Bottom of the 3rd inning. Runners at first and second with 1 out. Emerson Hancock on the mound. Miguel Vargas in the box. And it's about time for, a slow dribbler right up the middle for a double play to get out of this inning. We already had 1 put on us. We don't want any more. First pitch is high and away. They're from Hancock to Vargas. 1-0 count. And Vargas is actually having a good year. 7 home runs, and he really struggled, towards the end on his Dodger run, and probably was feeling sorry for himself being on a bad team the last couple years. But he's having a good year. Not as good as obviously Murakami, but not very many guys are on the Judge, Matt Olson level. But for, a Vargas level, to have 7 home runs already this early is very, very good for him. He's one of the top guys after Murakami on this White Sox team as far as hitting. And Hancock steps off of the mound. Trying to keep Antonacci obviously on his game there at second. Appreciate that. Go Mariners. Trident's up. Let's go M's. 1-1 pitch. Low and away. 2 balls and 1 strike to Miguel Vargas. Two-one pitch. High and away. 3 balls and 1 strike from Hancock to Vargas. And in, years past, you could go right down the middle on Vargas and he would strike out more times than not or pop up and ground out. But, you throw down the middle to him, just like Murakami, they will make you pay this season. 3-1 pitch and another walk. And Hancock having a little bit of a mini meltdown here. We've seen meltdowns by both pitchers already early in this game. I mean, we're getting a lot of offense. But again, this is not exactly what we want to see from, one of our top guys with Wu and Kirby and Emerson Hancock. Now we got bases loaded for Chicago with 1 out and with 1 swing by Colson Montgomery, and they might be up 6-5. Colson Montgomery in the box, Emerson Hancock on the mound, and we desperately need a double play so that way they don't end up getting closer to our 5-2 lead. I mean, how often are we going to hit grand salamis? A couple times in a 162-game season. It's not like it happens often. So when we end up getting a grand salami, we need to win those games. We can't, give up a grand salami after getting one. And we got to be very careful here. I do watch Kraken. I watch a little bit of everything, I do, obviously the baseball thing, and then NFL and college football. I love NASCAR with Chase Elliott, and Oh, hard hit ball. Shallow center field. It drops. Julio misses it. It goes back to the wall. Holy hell. This game is going to be tied. Terrible job there by Julio diving at that. And now the game is tied 5-5. Jesus. I had a feeling that something like that might happen. And again, this game is definitely not a pitcher's duel. Both pitchers are struggling, Burke and Hancock, and it's going to be one of those games where it might end up being a 10-9, kind of final, and hopefully we're on the winning end of that. But Julio, half sliding, for that ball, was not a very smart play there by Julio, which normally, is pretty smart out there. He should have just let it drop and, collect it off the wall. And just like that, a big 3-run RBI double there by Colson Montgomery. Little dribbler there by Chase Mydroff. Throw to first by Donovan, and that is 2 away. But I watch a little bit of everything, basketball, baseball, football, hockey, wrestling, just whatever, UFC, boxing. I mean, whatever the main thing is going on. I mean, we're fanatics here, so a little bit of everything. And after Mydroth ends up dribbling out to Brendan Donovan with 2 outs, the game now is tied 5-5. A lot of electricity in this game. Next up is Andrew Benintendi. First pitch to Benintendi is a ball, 1-0 count. Bottom of the 3rd inning, runner at 3rd with 2 outs. First pitch is low and away with a cutter, 85 miles an hour, 1-0 count. And it shows you, how important it is not to hit guys and not to walk guys, because you just never know. Eventually that right batter is going to get that right pitch to make you pay. And, obviously we got a grand salami, but they ended up getting something just as good moments ago. 1-1 pitch. I mean, a 3-run RBI double is essentially just as good as a grand salami right up there, It's like a 3-run jack, so. 1-1 pitch, fouled off, low and at the knees. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Andrew Benintendi. And I guess to be positive, at least, we're not down 5-0, where the White Sox are just rolling with these Chicago Bull alternate jerseys, and they're feeling it. You can tell, you look good, you feel good, you play good, and they're definitely feeling these Bulls alternate jerseys. They definitely look snazzy out there. They got the black pants, red stripes. It's almost like I'm watching Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman and Kukoc all over again. 1-2 pitch. High and inside, four-seam fastball, 94 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Andrew Benintendi. 2-2 pitch popped up. JP is there, and that is out number 3. Now, Julio is still, the best, or one of the best center fielders in the game. It's just that he's made a couple mistakes, within the last 2 weeks, but that's not usually, what he does. He's human, not everyone is going to be perfect, especially when you play outfield. It's one of the toughest positions, to be able to see those baseballs, in the glare, and to be able to get the timing down, and again, it's not ideal, that Julio has had a few mistakes, but again, you also have to look at how many, runs that Julio typically saves for us on a game in, game out basis. So, no matter how good you are, you're still going to end up making mistakes, just like Ken Griffey Jr. He was gobbling up a lot of those balls in center field back in the day. But, Griffey, just like Julio, is human. And again, he will make mistakes from time to time. Now, when it ends up happening, frequently, then we have an issue, but again, it's, one of those things. End of the 3rd inning, 5-5, Mariners and White Sox. A very exciting game here to start off. I don't think we anticipated Burke and Hancock to be, this rusty. But again, it definitely makes for an exciting game as long as we win. Now let's see who's up next here for the Mariners as we go to the top of the 4th inning. In the top of the 4th inning, 0-for-0 with an RBI, got hit by a pitch and brought her own home. Second baseman in the 9-hole, Cole Clutch Young. Batting second, leadoff hitter, welcome back to the team. Third baseman, it's Donnie Brendan Donovan. And batting third, 0-for-2 with a K, catcher, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. First game back as a catcher after the injury, and hopefully we'll be able to get some action here from Young, Donovan, and big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Trident's up, let's go M's. 97 subs away from 24,100. And usually Julio's smarter, than to make a kind of a risky decision. Anytime a ball gets past you, you already know 1 or 2 more runs potentially could score. So, all right, we're at 72 likes, 28 to 100. Oh, 1 pitch fouled off there by Cole Young. 4-seam fastball, 92 miles an hour there by Sean Burke. No balls and 2 strikes to Cole Young. Come on, Cole. Oh, 2 pitch. Hard hit ball into left field, fading foul. 4-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour there by Burke. No balls and 2 strikes to Cole Young. And again, a very exciting game. I mean, we've already gotten a 3-run RBI double. By Colson Montgomery, we got a grand slam by Luke Raleigh. I mean, again, that's why it makes the Mariners really exciting. You just never know what kind of game that you're going to get. And, if you were to say, we gave up 5 runs, you typically would think, oh, that's Gilbert or that's maybe Castillo, not and necessarily Emerson Hancock. But, shit happens. 1-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss. Down goes Cole Young. And that is 1 away. And hopefully Cole will be able to be clutch later in the game. I believe he will. Down goes Cole. Next up, welcome back to the team. Third baseman Brendan Donovan has already made a couple plays at third. He's a huge upgrade from Leo Rivas. Leo can't hit. His defense was pretty good while Donovan was out. And Donnie's been able to work the count. Has had a couple of deep pop-ups. But let's see if we can end up finally getting a hit for Donnie. First pitch takes a strike looking high and away with a sinker, 93 miles an hour, 0-1 count. Top of the 4th inning, we're knotted up at 5. A lot of excitement in this game early. 0-1 pitch popped up. And Murakami is there. And that is 2 away. Donovan now 0 for 3, and hopefully he'll go at least 1 for 4 or possibly 2 for 5 before this one is over. Next up is the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. 2 up and 2 down. First pitch from Burke to Cal. Dribbles it towards first base and foul. Knuckle curve. 77 miles an hour there by Sean Burke. Top of the 4th inning, nobody on and 2 outs. We're knotted up at 5 in a very exciting game. One of the more exciting games that we've seen early in the season. 0-1 pitch, takes another strike looking. No balls and 2 strikes to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Oh, 2 pitch, hard hit ball into left field and foul. But anytime you end up having an injury, you can't expect a guy to go 4 for 4 or 5 for 5 or even 3 for 5. You'd be blessed with a guy getting 1 or 2 hits after an injury. So, it takes a little time, especially for a guy that's, known as more of a home run hitter rather than a singles hitter. And Cal pops up, and that is out number 3. And again, he already went 0 for 4 at DH. He'll do better as a catcher to get more into the rhythm, but again, it might take a few games for him to be able to kind of get going. Let's go to the bottom of the 4th inning and see who is up next here for Chicago. And hopefully after Julio, played that baseball, not at the proper angle, hopefully he'll get a home run or a big RBI to make up for it later in the game. Sean in the building. What's good? Next up for the White Sox, 0 for 1, former Seattle Mariner and Atlanta Brave right fielder Jared Kelenic. Batting second, 0 for 0 with a run and a base on ball, center fielder Tristan Peters. And batting third in the 9-hole, 0 for 1, catcher Drew Romo. And on the mound for the Mariners, 2-1 record coming in with an ERA of 2.59, Emerson Hancock. So let's look at the numbers with the pitchers so far. Obviously not doing too well either one. Hancock, 3 innings pitched, 3 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, 2 Ks, 56 pitches, 31 strikes, 3.43 ERA. And Burke not really doing that well either. 4 innings pitched, 4 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks, 68 pitches, 47 strikes with a 3.50 ERA. But at least the bats are coming alive. And, we haven't had too many games where we've been in kind of a hitting duel. We've seen pitchers duels, but we haven't really been in a hitting duel that often. So you never know what to expect with this team. $97 subs away from 24,100. First pitch to Kelenic is high and away with the cutter. 1-0 count. One-0 pitch popped up into left field. Randy is there, and that is 1 away. Down goes Jared Kelenic. Next up is Tristan Peters. Yeah, I mean, again, no one's ever going to be perfect. And again, this is the first year out of, any year in his career where he's actually hitting the ball. Now, obviously, we know Julio, Cal, and Naylor were terrible in the first 10 games. Naylor was bottom 2 in MLB. And, if you're looking at Julio in the last 20 games, anytime you can hit over 300, we haven't really seen this version of Julio in the first half of the season ever. So, the defense definitely could be better, but the hitting obviously is, a night and day difference from the previous 4 years. Now, we know he's going to be one of the best players in the second half of the season. There's no doubt about that, but this could be the first year that we actually have a complete Julio Rodriguez first half and second half, and I know we've been definitely looking for that. But again, the defense, could be better, but again, shit happens. We just have to make sure it's not like a regular thing. Him and JP have had a few hiccups within the last few weeks. 1-1 pitch, takes a big swing and a miss, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Tristan Peters. One-two pitch, popped up to Randy, and that is 2 away. Still a long, year, and again, a lot of wear and tear on Cal's body last year, not having any major injuries and whatnot. But it's probably going to be something where he hits 27 to 35, home runs. He's not going to get anywhere near 60, but then it'll, make individuals understand like how good of a year that really was last year, to hit 60, let alone being a catcher and hit 60. You're probably never going to see that ever again. And if anyone gets close, you would have to assume it will be Cal Raleigh down the road. Not this year, but, it's not easy to hit home runs, let alone that many. And I think a lot of the individuals, as times pass and years pass, will reflect and go back and look at that particular year with Judge and think maybe he should have won the award, or maybe it should have been a co-MVP with Judge, just for the simple fact of what Cal was able to accomplish. It's not easy. 2-0 pitch, a little dribbler towards Cole Young, throw to Naylor, and that is out number 3. End of the 4th inning, and we're still knotted up at 5. But again, obviously Julio's offense is good. Now the defense is kind of, being a little sideways, and it's like the Mariners themselves. Sometimes the hitting is good, right? But then the defense isn't. And sometimes starting pitching is good, but sometimes the bullpen isn't. It's really hard, to get all the categories lined up, all the time. And with all that being said, we're only a game and a half back, from first place in the American League West. And the American League is trash. The only 2 good teams, really, are the Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays, and everyone else is kind of floating around 500. So there's plenty of time, to be able to get our record up. And even though it's, not great being below 500, I mean, the American League is not good this year. So, it definitely helps the Mariners out. And eventually, we'll be getting closer and closer, hopefully, to the Rays and the Yankees. And again, as long as we can have Donovan and Cal there, Eventually, we'll get Bryce Miller, Victor Robles, and then eventually get the call up for Colt Emerson and Cade Anderson. We can move, obviously, Castillo into the pen. And again, and then at some point, get Brash and Spire back as well. And once we actually have a full caliber team, we should be, red hot and rolling, you would assume by June or July for the rest of the season. End of the fourth inning, we're knotted up at 5. Let's see who's up next here for Seattle. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 2 center fielder Julio Rodriguez. Let's see if you can make up for that kind of mistimed defensive play there in center field that ended up scoring 3. Batting second, 2 for 2 with a run. First baseman, it's Nails, Josh Naylor, having a good game, going 2 for 2 with 2 runs scored already. Let's go, Josh. And batting third, 1 for 1 with a run, left fielder Randy Arozarena. Last 15 games, he's batting .328, So again, we've seen Julio batting closer to 200, in the first 4 years of the season early on. So huge improvement there. First pitch takes a strike, looking high and inside, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch. Hard hit ball, deep center field, back, gone! There you go. That's how you make up for a defensive play. I figured Julio would, and there it is. For all the people that want to complain, he just made up for it right there. 6-5. Mariners. Nice job, Julio. And again, we haven't seen this version of Julio offensively. He's more patient in the box. Yeah, the defense has gotten a little bit worse. But again, I think it will get better as the season has going along. And nice job by Julio Rodriguez, instantly making up for the bad defensive play. Mistiming that ball and getting a nice home run. Nice job, Julio. Next up is Josh Naylor. And again, we would have been happy if he would have came up with the big play later in the game, but to be able to, do it immediately after the fuck up, that's not something that happens often. 0-1 pitch. Hard hit ball by Naylor in center field. Peters is there, and that is 1 away. Down goes Naylor, and we see Julio Rodriguez with a big blast, which is awesome to see. And again, as far as us as Mariner fans, we're never, ever going to be fully satisfied in really anything, especially when we have so much expectations, for the roster that we have. But again, it's just great to be able to see Julio capitalize and be a great offensive player. And, again, to be able to fill the shoes of a guy named Ken Griffey Jr. in center field is not easy to do. And again, great job there by Julio getting that solo dinger after the mistake. First pitch is high and away. Oh, and Randy on a 1-0 pitch gets one past the third baseman, rolls to the left fielder. There we go. First pitch is high and away with the four-seam fastball, and Randy staying hot here today. Nice job there by Randy Arozarena with a laser towards third base that actually dribbles into left field. Nice job, Randy. Next up, in the 6-hole, shortstop, J.P. Crawford. And again, I like, pitching duels, but it's also kind of nice to be able to watch a game like this. Like, I don't like mistakes like the one that Julio made sliding and, should have probably played it off the wall and maybe only a run or 2 scores, not 3, right? But again, made up for it with the home run. But it's kind of nice when you can have games like this once in a while, when obviously it would be better if we were up 6-0, or 6-1 or 6-2. But, to be able to have this back and forth game, and Burke is done. And it looks like Newcomb is coming in, and we're going to have a pitching change. But as long as we win the game, when we're going to make awesome plays, but we're also going to fuck up and make mistakes. But as long as we win this, 10-9, 9-8, whatever, the score may be, that's really what it comes down to. We got to get the dub. All right, Sean Newcomb is coming in, reliever for the White Sox. former athletic pitcher. Nice job by Julio Rodriguez, J-Rod with that big solo dinger after the mistake. Now Sean Newcomb comes in, and let's take a look at Sean Burke's final line. 4.1 innings pitched, 6 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks, 74 pitches, 52 strikes, 3.68 ERA. And again, we haven't really been able to take advantage of, poor pitching that much this year. But again, I'm really happy that we're able to, show that what we can do when we're rolling. And again, we haven't had too many meltdowns, but it shows you if the Mariners can get a couple people walked and a couple people hit by pitches, more times than not, we can take advantage and make big runs. But unfortunately, we haven't really been able to get walked a lot, and we haven't really been hit by pitches a lot. But this is a great example. When we do, more times than not, we're going to explode. And again, 6 runs already for the Mariners here in the 5th. First pitch from Newcomb to JP in there for a strike. 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, takes another strike there to J.P. Crawford. No balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 1 out. Top of the 5th inning, 6-5 Seattle. Oh, 2 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to J.P. Crawford. Sean Newcomb, the former athletic pitcher, on the mound, and J.P. Crawford in the box. White Sox wearing their Chicago Bull throwback jerseys. It's a very clean look, too. They're like the vested, looking jerseys there. One-two pitch. JP gets a hold of one, and it dribbles into right field in front of Kelenic. Run, Randy, run! Here we go. We are rolling. And it shows you when you go against pitching that isn't necessarily top tier, this team can definitely take advantage. And it's not just like one guy taking advantage. It's pretty much everybody besides Donnie and Cal. But again, before the game is over, I assume Donnie and Cal will be able to get at least a hit on somebody. Nice job there by JP with a beautiful single to right. Randy gets to third. Runners on the corners with 1 out. And it dribbles right into Jared Kelenic's hands. Next up is Luke Raleigh, 1 for 2 with a run, 4 RBIs and a K, and had a grand salami. And JP stealing second, and out. Not a very good jump there by JP Crawford. Should have probably just stayed at first base and, probably didn't need to get greedy there. I mean, we already got 6 runs. It's not like we're down, 2 or 3 runs right now. So that was a little bit of a mistake there. I would have just been fine with JP there at first, but then obviously if they get a slow dribbler up the middle and JP's still at first, it could have been a double play, but a really good throw there by the White Sox, and down goes JP. And a little dribbler there. Throw to first on Luke Raleigh. Great hustle by Luke, but not in time. And a nice job by Drew Romo, throwing out JP Crawford. And again, I just wish, JP would have just stayed, obviously there at first, but if he would have stayed, it looks like it would have ended up being a double play by Luke Raleigh anyways. So I guess it is what it is. All right, let's go to the bottom of the 5th inning and see who's up next here for the White Sox. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Next up for the White Sox in a very exciting game, one of the more exciting games of the year so far within the first 38 games. Leadoff hitter, 1 for 2 with a run and an RBI, left fielder Sam Antonacci. Batting second, 1 for 1 with 2 runs, an RBI, and a base on ball. Already has a home run in this game. First baseman Munetaka Murakami. Got to be very careful on how you pitch to this Japanese superstar. And batting third, 0 for 1 with a run and a base on ball, the former Dodger, third baseman Miguel Vargas. Trident's up. Let's go M's. We're at 5 on the Dono train, 95 to go. We're at 88 likes, 12 more to 200, or 100, excuse me. 88 likes, 12 more to 100. No, Burke didn't get hurt. He just ended up giving up too many runs. And we're 97 subs away from 24,100. So a quick recap. Murakami homered to left, 380 feet in the bottom of the first, 1-0 Chicago. Young hit by a pitch by Burke with bases loaded, making it 1-1. Luke Raleigh with a grand salami in the top of the third, 5-1 Mariners. Antonacci with a single to center. Peters scores, making it 5-2. And then the Julio mistake. Montgomery doubles to center. Julio mistimes it. Antonacci, Vargas, and Murakami score to make it 5-5. But then Julio's like, hey, I fucked up. I got to make up for it. Then he ends up hitting a solo dinger 418 feet moments ago. And now we have a 6-5 lead. So I'm just really happy Julio was able to, make up for his mistake immediately. And Julio might not be done. There's not too many guys on the team that can have a multi-homer game, but Julio is definitely one of the 3 or 4 guys that could. And we'll see if Julio can come up with some more magic before this game is over. First pitch there to Antonacci is a ball, 1-0 count. Four-seam fastball, 93 miles an hour, high and away. 1-0 pitch, foul back to the Miller Lite sign there in Chicago at Rate Field. 1 ball and 1 strike to Sam Antonacci. Rebecca with a 5er, appreciate you. Thank you so much for your support. We're at 10 now, 90 to go. Shout out to Rebecca. 1-1 pitch. Another ball there to Antonacci, low and away. Change up 86 miles an hour there by Emerson Hancock. 2 balls and 1 strike to Sam Antonacci. 2-1 pitch, little dribbler towards first. Naylor is there. A flip to Emerson Hancock, even though Naylor could have ran it himself. Good teamwork there by the Mariners on defense, and that is 1 away. Beautiful day there in Chicago as they show the skyline and obviously the sunset there. I'm just glad it's not raining there at Rate Field. Because we know what happens when it rains in Chicago or when we end up, going on the road to Kansas City. More times than not, it's not a dub for us. So, and hopefully there's no rain on Saturday or Sunday. Velasco with the tenor. Appreciate you, Velasco. Another $10 dono. That's wild. He's homered in 8 straight opening games against teams. That's insane. But it shows you how good he is. It's like, he's that power hitter that we all knew that Hideki Matsui could be for the Yankees, but he's better. O2 pitch is low and away. Sweeper, 75 miles an hour. So we went sweeper, 4-seam, and sweeper. And it's a 1 ball, 2 strike count here to Munetaka Murakami. Big swing and a miss. And down goes Murakami. And again, Emerson Hancock, nice job. Because again, Murakami is, arguably the most dangerous hitter in baseball right now, besides Matt Olson on the Braves, which we saw him hit a couple homers against us. And then obviously Aaron Judge. Those are the 3 most dangerous hitters in baseball right now. Big punch out there for M. And that is 2 away. Next up is Miguel Vargas, who quietly is having an amazing season for him. Again, there might be seasons where he doesn't even hit 7 home runs for a whole year, and he's already at 7 already. So again, and I know once the Dodgers traded him to the White Sox, and they were one of the worst teams in baseball, I know that it hit him hard, mentally, and I think it would for any person that once plays on the Dodgers, and then the Dodgers like, oh, we don't want you anymore, and not only that, we're going to trade you to the White Sox. I mean, it was kind of injury to insult there, but at least now the White Sox are getting better, and I think he's enjoying his time in Chicago finally. 2-0 pitch, hard hit ball to third, goes off Donnie. JP ends up getting it off the deflection, but no throw. And Vargas with another hit, and he is safe. Next up is Colson Montgomery, 1 for 2 with 3 RBIs and a K, and he was the one that really got the game, pretty close to us, obviously, after we had the grand salami. And again, it's kind of the Mariners' MO. As soon as we do something amazing, the other team usually responds within that next half inning. So, but at least Julio was able to respond back, and now we have a 6-5 lead. First pitch to Montgomery, takes a strike looking high and away, 0-1 count, and a throw to first to Vargas, and he is safe. Appreciate you, Velasco. Get the snacks, baby. Nothing better than watching baseball with all your friends here on the NWSF on a Friday night, let me tell you. Bottom of the 5th inning, runner at first with 2 outs. Big swing and a miss there from Montgomery. No balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 2 outs. 6-5 Mariner lead, and it's just nice to be able to show that, hey, we can score runs when the other team, hits us or when they walk us. It's just that we haven't had too many opportunities like this season, but I know we will as the season progresses. 0-2 pitch. And Montgomery pops it up. Deep left field. Oh, and thankfully Randy is there all the way on the wall, and that is out number 3. I got scared there for a second, because again, the wind usually is going to be blowing out, not in Chicago, whether it's, at Rate Field or obviously at Wrigley. And we got lucky there that one ended up dropping, and we still got a 6-5 lead. End of the 5th inning, 6-5 Seattle. Let's see who's up next here for the Mariners. And I still want to see Brendan Donovan, and Cal Raleigh with hits before this one is over. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 1 with a base on ball, the Italian Stallion, DHing Dominic Canzone. Let's go, Dom. Batting second, 0 for 1 with an RBI and a K. Second baseman, Cole Clutch Young. Number 1 on the team with RBIs. Let's go, Cole. And batting third, 0 for 3, but it's gone pretty good contact on every single ball, and it's been working the count. Third baseman, welcome back, Brendan Donovan. And again, this is going to make the team so much better, because Leo Rivas is more of a AAA player. He can't really hit, even though he had a few, moments for us while Donnie was out. But, Donovan obviously was one of the only, hitters to be above 300 and a pretty damn good defender, even though he played more second base and shortstop for the Cardinals. So, when you're playing a new position, you're going to make mistakes. But again, Donnie is more times than not going to make the play. And I feel a lot more comfortable with Donovan, on the team and him leading off rather than Leo Rivas playing and having JP lead off, even though JP did a pretty good job in his absence. But obviously, Donnie has got that all-star ability. And then if we can get to him and we can get to the 4th hitter, it'll be the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. We're at 20 on the Dono train, 80 to go to hit our first goal. End of the 5th inning, 6-5 Seattle. 97 subs to go to 24,100. And we're approaching 100 likes. If you haven't hit the like button yet, please do. Beautiful sunset there at Rate Field. And we've been able to have a few of those in Oregon and Washington here already. All right, we're at 101 likes. Looks like we hit the number. $99 to $200. And Ref Snyder is in for Dominic Canzone, base Newcomb being a lefty there. 1 ball and 1 strike to Rob Ref Snyder. Come on, Rob. Takes a strike looking high and away. 1-2 pitch, little dribbler towards third base by Ref Snyder. Throw to first, and got him. Down goes Rob Ref Snyder, but hopefully Rob will be able to get something going for us before the game is over. He'll probably have one more at-bat. And hopefully in that other at-bat that he has, hopefully we'll get something like this. Let's go, Rob. We're going to need you. Next up is Cole Young. First pitch from Newcomb to Young. Inside, 1-0 count. Top of the sixth inning in a very exciting game. I mean, I don't think we expected Burke and Hancock to be this wild today, but it's nice to be able to see the offenses gain some traction off some mistakes with walks and hit by pitches and whatnot. 1-0 pitch in there for a strike to Cole Young, leading the team in RBIs. He is very clutch. Big swing and a miss, high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike to Cole Young. 1-1 pitch, hit into left field, out of play. Four-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour there by Sean Newcomb. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Cole Young. Sean Newcomb on the mound. Cole Clutch Young in the box. Let's go, Cole. Oh, and it hit him. And Cole gets hit in the butt cheek. And again, we've had 3 players hit by pitches. Cole Young twice and Randy Arosarena once. But Newcomb, obviously, with the first hit by pitch there off the butt cheek, lower or upper leg, butt cheek area. And hopefully Cole is okay. You don't like to see one of our better players getting hit twice in a game, but looks like he's okay and obviously was not intentional. Next up is Brandon Donovan. Let's see if Donnie can start a rally here for us. First pitch is a ball to Brandon Donovan, 1-0 count. Line out, fly out, pop out, and he's getting some good contact. It's just a matter of time before he gets the rhythm again. 1-0 pitch from Newcomb, low and away. 2 balls and no strikes to Brandon Donovan. And Donnie, sees the baseball a little bit better than Cal. Cal's more of a home run hitter, and as the season goes along, he'll get more singles and doubles. But Donnie is a guy that can get singles, doubles, triples, home runs. He gives you a little bit more. And again, he is one of the better leadoff hitters in baseball. It's just unfortunate that he had, the issue with the growing and then the hip and then the flu and then obviously going on the 10-day IL, and he's been gone for, 10 to 15 games, whatnot. So, but great to have him back. 2-1 pitch from Newcomb and Donnie. Hard hit ball into center field, but it drops there. And that is 2 away. So he's getting good contact, but he's just not being able to hit it in the gaps just yet. Obviously, first game back. You don't expect too much, but hopefully Donnie will be able to get at least 1 hit and go 1 for 5. Cal ended up going 0 for 4 in his first 2 DH starts, and hopefully Cal does not go 0 for 4 or 0 for 5 here today. But so far, 0 for 3. Come on, Cal. Now he's going to get a chance to bat right-handed, and maybe this will be the thing that'll open the game up for him. First pitch, low and at the knees, 1-0 count. I would love to see Cal Raleigh hit a home run. We don't usually get too many games in the first half of the season where we see Julio and Cal homer in the same game. But in the second half of the season, it becomes a little bit more viable. Hotter weather and, guys are a little bit more locked in. Plus, Cal didn't have an injury last year, so. 1-0 pitch, and he goes around. Cal looking at the ump with a little bit of disgust. 1 ball and 1 strike to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Top of the 6th inning, 6-5 Mariners. Runner at first, Cole Young got hit in the butt cheek moments ago, and he is okay. He's been hit twice already. 1-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss. And I think for Cal, also adjusting his swing, and not swinging for a home run every at-bat. And it feels like every pitch is a home run swing, And again, if he connects, it'll be great, for us to get to 8-5. But how many games of 0-4, 0-5 before we get that home run? I want to be able to see some singles and some doubles if we can. 1-2 pitch, low and at the knees. 2 balls and 2 strikes to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. But again, having a nice single swing, single RBI type of swing, obviously would really help the team out. And then once you get a few of those, then the home run will come naturally. 2-2 pitch, and that was more of a single swing, a little slow dribbler, throw to first, and that is out number 3. Let's go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Mariners hanging on to a 1-run lead. 6 runs, 7 hits, no errors. 5 runs, 4 hits, no errors for the White Sox. And again, we haven't had anybody score. Seattle scored obviously in the top of the 5th, but the big chunk of the runs were within the first 3 innings. And we both had 4-run innings in the 3rd. 4 by Seattle and 4 by the White Sox. And again, that is something that has happened to us a few times this year also, which is kind of odd, but that's baseball for you. Now let's go to the bottom of the 6 and see who's up next year for Chicago. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Next up, in the 5 hole, 0 for 2 with a K, second baseman Chase Mydroff. Batting second, 0 for 2, DHing in the 6 hole, Andrew Benintendi. And batting third, 0 for 2, right fielder, formerly of the Mariners and the Braves, Jared Kelenic. Trident's up. Let's go M's. We're at 20 on the dono train, 80 to go. Gained another sub since the last commercial break. Appreciate you. 96 subs to go to 24,100. And shout out to all the people watching in the United States and all across the globe. Our female viewership has gone up from 5%, from a couple years ago to 20 to 25%. And again, our global viewership from all over South America, Europe, and Asia has gone up tremendously. And again, shout out to all the people watching all across the globe. All right, we're at 118 likes. $82 to $200. Let's go. First pitch to Mydroff. Takes a strike looking high and inside. 92 mile an hour, four-seam fastball, 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, hard hit ball, deep right field. Raleigh chasing off the wall, and a ground rule double that goes into the stands. Let's look at Emerson Hancock's pitch count. Where is he at? 80. So 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, 3 Ks. He's at 80 pitches, and this will probably be his last inning, and they might even pull him before the inning ends, depending on if they tie it up or take the lead. Let's finish strong, baby. But again, with no Matt Brash and no, Gabe Spire for a couple weeks, we're going to have to rely on Edward Bizardo, Cooper Criswell, Alex Hoppe and Jose Ferrer tremendously. And, if they decide to go with Ferrer as the closer over Mooney, that probably would be the smart move until he ends up getting the grip on his slider better and he's has more confidence, because Mooney has lost us a lot of games this year already. 0-1 pitch, big swing and a miss. No balls and 2 strikes from Hancock to Benintendi. Oh-2 pitch popped up and out of play. Sweeper 75 miles an hour. Well, Kelenic made the name up, when he was on the team, calling Cal the big dumper. And not everyone may like the nickname, but it's definitely very unique. 0-2 pitch. And that gets dribbled towards first base and foul. And obviously multiple meanings, obviously dumper when he can dump home runs, and, having a little bit of a bigger back end, Definitely a tough position to play, catcher in baseball. Arguably the hardest. 0-2 pitch, high and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Andrew Benintendi. Shout out from Yakima, baby. Happy early Mother's Day. 1-2 pitch, big swing and a miss. Nice job there by Emerson Hancock, saying see you later to Andrew Benintendi. Rick Riz, he loves it. Way to bring the electricity. Emerson Hancock, finish strong, baby. Next up is Jared Kelenic. First pitch to Jared is low and away, 1-0 count. Power code in the building, what's good? It's 1-0 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and no strikes to Jared Kelenic, who just got the call up from being in the farm. and has definitely gone through a lot of ups and downs, you know, not only with the Mariners, but with the Braves and now with this White Sox team. And I know he's very excited to be playing against his former team. 2-0 pitch, hard hit ball into shallow left field. Randy is there, and that is 2 away. Nice job there by Randy Arozarena there in left field. Down goes Kelenic, and that is 2 away. Next up, center fielder Tristan Peters. First pitch in there for a strike, but it was off the plate. 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Emerson Hancock to Tristan Peters. Finish strong, Em. One pitch, low and at the knees. Two-one pitch, little dribbler towards Cole Young, throw to first, nailer, and that is out number 3. And down goes Tristan Peters. And that is the end of the 6th inning. I'm going to use this photo the rest of the way compared to the other one that's a little too blurry for my liking. Let's use this one, and let's get rid of this one. And let me make a swap here real quick. Let me move these into the White Sox file. All right, Sean Newcomb, put that in there. Tristan Peters, put that in there as well. And eliminate this. And put the file up. All right, let's see who's up next here as we go to the top of the 7th. Next up for the Mariners, 1 for 3 with a run and an RBI. Center fielder Julio Rodriguez. He obviously got the big home run after mistiming a ball in the outfield that scored 3. And let's see if Julio can do it again. Let's go, J-Rod. Batting second, having a fantastic game, going 2 for 3 with 2 runs, Josh Naylor. And another individual having a good game, you know, obviously Uncle Mo, momentum, you know, obviously goes both ways. When it rains, it pours. But when things are going great, it rubs off on the other players. Randy, 2 for 2 with a run. And he's batting third in the 5-hole, Randy Arozarena. We just need Donnie and Cal to get going. Obviously, they're both 0 and 4. Canzone went 0 for 1, and then Ref Snyder came in, and we're still waiting for Cole Young as well. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Let's finish strong. And obviously with a 1-run lead, that doesn't give anybody any comfort. You know, I'm glad that we are ahead, but you know, you want to probably be up by like 3 or more to feel comfortable. Because lately when we've had a 1-run lead and Mooney has come in, typically the game ends up being tied or we're down by 1. So we want to definitely add on a few more if we can. Tyler Davis in, little dribbler. Throw back to first, and down goes Julio, and that is 1 away. First pitch from Tyler Davis to Naylor. He fouls it off himself, and it has a little bit of a hobble. And, Naylor is, kind of a fashionista. He definitely has a lot of custom Jordan cleats, has over 100 in his collection, and has started to give away, some autographed cleats, including the box, to fans while he's playing. And again, it's great to be able to see someone that, has a good shoe game, but also is willing to give away some of the cleats, and even sign them and include the box as well. I mean, he definitely goes above and beyond. And if you're a fan, a kid or an adult, and you end up getting something like that, chances are you're going to be a Josh Naylor fan for life, if you're not already. Tyler Davis on the mound, the righty. Josh Naylor in the box. 0-1 pitch to Naylor. Pops it up into left field, out of play. And again, Naylor giving away, autographed cleats with the box is not something you typically see often. I mean, sometimes you'll see it from like NBA players, after the game is over. But again, not really from baseball players that often. Here and there, but not as, as often as NBA players. And then you don't really see NFL players do it. But I imagine it happens from time to time. 0-2 pitch to Naylor. Fouls it back to the Xfinity mobile sign here at Rate Field. No balls and 2 strikes with nobody on and 1 out. Top of the 7th inning. Mariners hanging on with a 1-run lead. Oh, 2 pitch. High and inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Davis to Naylor. A lot of people in the Pacific Northwest and Oregon and Washington in the building as far as the United States is concerned, but a lot of global viewership as well. 1-2 pitch, high and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Josh Naylor. Let's go, Nails. 2-2 pitch from Davis. And a dribbler up the middle. Oh, my God. What a catch. Oh, my God. Colson Montgomery just getting the tip of the mitt. And that would have been the 3rd hit for Naylor. He got robbed. Wow. What athleticism there by Colson Montgomery. Great defense there. And again, I can appreciate, a great play from another team. We don't need to be a hater, and obviously we know in sports, there's always going to be a lot of people that are incredibly biased and whatnot, but we can always appreciate a great play. But obviously we want to win this game. Randy shows bunt, pulls back, 1-0 count. Top of the 7th inning, 6-5 Seattle. Colson Montgomery robbing Naylor of his 3rd hit. But Randy's got hit by a pitch, and he's got 2 singles in a run. He's having a good game here today. 1-0 pitch from Davis. Randy, hard hit ball in between first and second, and Randy is on a heater. Nice job. And it rolls all the way to Jared Kelenic in right field. Nice job, Randy Arosarena. And it makes you think, if Naylor would have been safe off a base knock and Montgomery didn't get it and Randy would have gotten it, maybe we have, first and second, and then we end up getting a big play, by JP, Raleigh, or maybe even Cole Young if we get to that point. Let's go, JP. Runner at first now with 2 outs. Throw to first, and Randy is safe. I would love to be able to get on a nice rally with 2 outs if we can get a few more hits. We obviously know how hard it is to be able to get back-to-back hits. 3 hits in a row is not easy. Stolen bag. Wild throw, and it goes behind Randy, and Randy ends up scampering to third. Here we go. And Randy's coming home. Why? Go back. Oh, Randy got a little crazy there, thinking he was going to be able to go from first to second, second to third, third to home. I mean, I get it. We want to be able to win the game, but we can't have you be stupid. Luckily, there was no third baseman on the bag. Otherwise, that would have been out. And Randy getting a little crazy there, a little ahead of himself, but the throw was wide right. It almost hits him if it didn't actually hit him. And again, Randy to third, and there's no way in hell he was going to make it home. Went about quarter of the way, and luckily the third base coach is, Randy, get back. And again, now we got a runner at third. Let's see if JP can get a single, double, or a home run to make this 7-5 or potentially 8-5. Two-0 pitch from Tyler Davis to JP Crawford. Low and at the knees. I like this. Davis having a little bit of a mini meltdown, and he's been pretty good for this team in his early career. 3 balls, no strikes to JP Crawford, and we know on a 3-0 or a 3-1 pitch, something really good can happen for any player on the Mariners. Let's see what happens here, and JP will take the walk if it's not there. 3-0 pitch, in there for a strike right down the middle. 3 balls and 1 strike to JP Crawford. Go on, JP. Top of the 7th inning, 6-5 Mariners. Runner at third, Randy with 2 outs. 3-1 pitch from Davis to Crawford. Check swing goes behind the plate to the right field Xfinity mobile sign. Count now is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes to JP Crawford. Come on, JP. Another individual like Julio that has been a little shaky in the last 3 weeks defensively, but has been pretty good offensively, JP and Julio as of late. 3-2 pitch, low and at the knees, and that's something that you can always get from JP Crawford. Patience in the box more times than not, and draws another walk. Now we got runners at first and third, and we will see now if this will be Connor Joe coming in. Because we obviously had Canzone go out for Rob Refsnyder, even though Raleigh did hit a grand salami early in the matchup. Are they going to let Luke Raley bat? And they're going to let Luke Raley bat. That's what I like to see. No disrespect to Connor Joe, but, after a guy has hit a home run, give him another chance, regardless if it's a lefty or a righty. You never know when a guy could end up hitting another home run, right? But if you take him out after the first home run, you'll never know. All right, baby, let's go, Luke. Let's see if you can make some magic. Runners at first and third. You get another home run. It'll be 9-5. First pitch, low and at the knees, 1-0 count. Let him know, Velasco. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. One-0 pitch to Raleigh. Check swing again, low and at the knees. And Tyler Davis is having a little bit of a mini meltdown, and it's nice to be able to see meltdowns, by not just one pitcher, on the White Sox, but pretty much all of them are having, mini meltdowns. And again, it's nice to be able to take advantage of getting hit by a pitch and walks, which we haven't really been able to take advantage that much this year. 2-0 pitch. I don't know about that one. That one gets called strike, but where is it on the pitch graph? It's outside, but looks like a ball, but no challenge here by Luke Raley. 2 balls and 1 strike to Luke Raley. Let's get a nuke, Luke. Nuke! Deep. Back. Gone! Luke Raley does it again. Grand salami and a 3-run jack. Nuke Raley. Thank God they didn't put in Connor Joe. And just like that, 9-5 Mariners. And that might be what we need to win this game. Let's go! And it's one of the first times where Dan Wilson, right, hasn't taken out a hitter that's hit a home run. And look at that. You hit one home run, you keep him in, he hits another one. Again, if you're going to take guys out once they go from lefty to righties, you never know if that guy is still hot. And apparently, Luke Raley is very, very hot. Luke with another nuke, a grand salami, and a 3-run blast. You can't ask for more production than that. He's accumulated 7 runs for the Mariners out of our 9 total. Let's go. Nice job, Luke, with another nuke. And again, how many times have we had one guy get a home run, whether it be like Luke Raley or Dominic Canzone, and then they switch pitchers and then they just take them out. It's always nice to keep them in, and I'm so happy that they did. Nice job. Rob Refsnyder, hard hit ball into right field. Jared Kelenic is there, and that is out number 3. Let's go, baby. Luke Raleigh with another missile. And that's exactly what we needed as far as insurance, in this game. Luke Raleigh, the MVP here so far. Let's go to the bottom of the 7th inning. 9-5 Mariners. And this is your MVP right here, motherfucking Luke Raleigh with another nuke. I mean, you can't ask for anything better. A grand salami to right center, 372 feet with Naylor, Randy, and JP on board to give us the 5-1 lead. And then they respond after Julio's error, even though he didn't get credited for the error. He mistimed the ball. That was a 3-run double. And then it made it 5-5 after we had the 5-1 lead from Luke. And then Luke's like, you know what? I'm glad you didn't substitute me out for Connor Joe. And then he homers to right with a fucking missile, a nuke. 372 feet with Randy and JP on board, and the insurance that we needed. Now we're up 9-5, and again, it's good to have that insurance, especially when we don't really know what's going to happen, obviously moving forward with our bullpen. Nice fucking job. Way to bring the electricity. MVP Luke Raleigh. I love it. Let's go to the bottom of the 7th inning. The Mariners with a 4-run lead. Fuck yes, baby. Let's go. Love it, man. And again, it's not like we get to have these kind of games often, especially, in the early part of the year when we were the worst hitting team in baseball. And now we got Edward Bizzardo on the mound. And again, after that Astro series where we ended up getting the mop, aka the sweep, when you win 4 games, it's a mop, based on Rick Riz. And then when you win 3 in a row in a sweep, it's just a traditional sweep. But that is really the turning point when things started to change, hitting wise for us. 1-0-1 pitch, little dribbler, Donovan, throw to first, to Naylor, and that is 1 away. Down goes Romo, no relation to Tony. Down goes Drew, and let's see if Edward Bizzardo can keep it going. And again, even though Hancock didn't really pitch well, the offense is going to be able to more than likely do enough for us to be able to get this victory. Trident's up. Let's go M's. First pitch from Bizzardo to Antonacci. In there for a strike. RBI single in the 3rd in a run. Batting .266 with a homer and 9 ribbies in 2026. Bottom of the 7th, the Mariners with a comfortable 4-run lead, but we would definitely like to add a few more. I mean, if we're at 9, let's, get to double digits. It's not like we get to 9 very often, and we're going to have 2 innings to be able to get at least 1 more run. And chances are, if their pitching, continues to be a little sideways, we might actually be able to do it. Maybe even get to 11 or 12. Who knows? 1 ball and 2 strikes to Sam Antonacci. 1-2 pitch, and a little blooper right in front of Julio, and he times that one correctly with a little one hopper and a nice base knock there by Sam Antonacci. All right, next up is Munetaka Murakami, and we can't give up another home run. He already has 1, and again, if he hits a homer, we don't want it to be 9-7, so we got to be careful here with Edward Bizzardo. .1-0 pitch in there for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike to Munetaka Murakami. 1-1 pitch in there for a strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Munetaka Murakami. One-two pitch from Bizzardo to Murakami, low and into the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first and 1 out. Bottom of the 7th inning, 9-5 Mariners. Let's go. And hopefully we'll be able to, have this kind of offensive production for Gilbert tomorrow and Castillo on Sunday, because we know those are our 2 pitchers that have struggled the most as far as starters as of late. Even though Wu has had a couple, games where he gave up 7 and 6, but responded very nicely recently. So that's good that we got Wu back on track. And, we know that Kirby has been the most consistent. And again, we've seen Hancock kind of, go up and down. But again, it's all about if we can get these dubs. And, close one there. Josh Naylor with the tag. And he is safe. Good swipe there by Josh. And Mariners are going to challenge here. We'll see if we end up getting the tag here at first. Well, Luke Raleigh with a grand salami in the 3rd inning, making it 5-1. And then Luke Raleigh with a 3-run blast in the 7th, with Randy and JP on board, giving us a 9-5 lead. So 2 home runs, 7 RBIs. I would say that's a pretty good day, especially for a guy that was, kind of a streaky player, started to get hot with, Cole Young early in the year. And at one point, Luke was number 1 in home runs and RBIs and whatnot. But again, it's always nice to be able to take advantage of, pitching and, a few mini meltdowns, so to speak. Bottom of the 7th, runner at first with 1 out. We have a play under review here. Runner is out. Let's go. And, Naylor kind of gave one of these, after, the throw to first, like he knew, and play is overturned. Nice job. And 1 away gets turned into 2 away. That was a beautiful throw by Bizzardo and a really good technique there by Naylor. And it shows you how important it is to have a good first baseman. Not only offensively, but defensively. I think people, we had Ty France in the past, but Naylor is quite a bit better. Nobody on. 3-2 count here to Murakami. Little dribbler towards first base. Get it, Cole. Get it, Cole. Throw to first. Got him. And Cole Clutch Young coming up with the defensive play to Josh Naylor. And that is it. Bottom of the 7th inning is completed. Mariners with a 9-5 lead, but I'm not satisfied. Let's see if we can get into double digits before this one is over. Shout out to my boy Brooks Beats with the best beats on YouTube. Next up, in the 9 hole, 0 for 1 with an RBI and a K. I'm ready for a big hit here from our guy, Cole Clutch Young. Batting second, 0 for 4 in his first game back. Let's go 1 for 5. Third baseman, Brendan Donovan. And batting third, 0 for 4 with a K, catcher, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. And I'd love to see Cal go 1 for 5 as well. He already went 0 for 4 twice when he DH'd. And again, now obviously 0 for 12. You don't need to necessarily go for the Luke Raleigh swing. Just try to get on with a single, and then eventually the home runs will come naturally. And Donnie's gotten some pretty good contact, but he just hasn't been able to drop a ball in between center field and left field, or center field and right field. But maybe this will be the at-bat that they finally get their first hit. We're at 20 on the Dono train, 80 to go. Gained 3 more subs since the last commercial break. Appreciate you. 93 subs to go to 24,100. Top of the 8th inning in a very exciting game. 9-5 Mariners. I just, feel bad for Emerson Hancock pitching kind of poorly today, but at least Luke Raleigh made up for it, as well as Julio Rodriguez. And we're at 137 likes. Nelson Cruz, the last to do what Luke Raleigh did today. We're at 137 likes, 13 more to get to 150. Let's go. We can definitely do that. We got 271 in the room, and hopefully we'll get somewhere between 150 and 175 on the likes before this one is done. First pitch in there from Richards to Young. Trevor Richards enters the game here for Chicago. Two-0 pitch, high and away, and Trevor Richards having a little bit of a mini meltdown here. I mean, the jerseys look fire. You know, wearing the Chicago Bull style throwback alternate jersey, but we got a 3-0 count here for Cole. 3-0 pitch in there for a strike from Trevor Richards. 3 balls and 1 strike with nobody on and no outs. Top of the 8th inning, 9-5 Mariners in a must-win game for us, especially with Logan Gilbert on the mound tomorrow, and then Luis Castillo. Or Castillo on the mound tomorrow, Logan Gilbert on Sunday. Excuse me. A 3-2 pitch. And that is strike 3 looking. And is Cole going to challenge? I think Cole's going to lose this challenge. But you never know. Let's look. Yep. Just got the bottom of the zone, and down goes Cole. And that is 1 away. And we're going to need production like this probably for Castillo tomorrow, knowing that he'll normally give up 5 to 10 runs himself. So hopefully we'll be able to have that, kind of bleed over from one game to the next with that Uncle Mo and that momentum. Next up is Brendan Donovan. Let's go, Donnie. Let's get your first hit. After being out for 10-plus games, let's go. Let's go, Donnie. And there we go, Donnie. I knew he could get a hit. There we go. And Brandon Donovan getting a hit in his first game back. Nice job, baby. Way to bring the electricity, Brandon Donovan. I love you. Huge upgrade, than having JP as our leadoff hitter. Nice job, Brandon Donovan, and obviously getting 1 hit today. Maybe that'll carry over to tomorrow where he can get 2, and then maybe on the third game, maybe even 3. Nice job. Now let's see if we can get Cal Raleigh to do what Donnie did and get a hit here. So far, 0 for 12 since coming back. First pitch going for a moonshot swing, 0-1 count. Obviously, if he ends up hitting a homer here, it'll be 11-5, but I mean, at this point, I'll take anything. Get a single. Got to get that batting average above 200. Poor half swing attempt there by Cal. Got fooled with the changeup there by Trevor Richards. No balls and 2 strikes to Cal Raleigh, but you can definitely tell his timing is completely off after the injury. He's nowhere near being what he was last year. And again, realistically, he'll probably hit 28 to 35 home runs. He's at 7 right now, but when you're batting 170 and you had an injury and now you're 0 for 12, approaching 0 for 13, you got to change. You got to sometimes, change the mechanics a little bit. 0-2 pitch inside, 1 ball and 2 strikes to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Brash and Gabe Spire will be back in a couple weeks. And that one fouled back to the right field sign. 1 ball and 2 strikes to the big dumper, Cal Raleigh. But Bryce Miller and Victor Robles are close to coming back. And then we got, obviously, Brash and Spire, 1 and 3 in the bullpen, due back in a couple weeks. And then we're still waiting for Cade Anderson, and obviously the guy, Colt Emerson, to be able to get called up at some point as well. 1-2 pitch, fouled off into left field by the big dumper. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Cal Raleigh. I mean, we're 1.5 games back from being in first place, even though we haven't really played our best ball. But again, once we get all those pieces that I mentioned, and once we get, after the All-Star break, which will be, I believe July 14th. Once we get past that point, I mean, it's going to look really sexy. The team, you know, as far as we don't have any injuries between now and then that are major to our stars, but, you know, we always roll after the All-Star break, but, you know, it'll be really nice to make this team a little bit deeper. 1-2 pitch. Cal pops it up, and that'll be an easy play for Jared Kelenic in right field. That's been busy today, and that is 2 away. So far, Cal Raleigh 0 for 13 since his return. Got to change. Next up in the 3-hole, center fielder Julio Rodriguez. Let's see if Julio can do what Luke Raley did and hit another home run. Let's go, J-Rod. Luke Raley did 2 home runs, a grand salami and a 3-run blast, but we'll take a solo dinger and a 2-run jack from Julio if we can get it. Come on, J-Rod. First pitch to Julio, and he goes for a single swing and gets a nice base knock into left field. Nice job, Julio. It may have not been a home run, but I'll take a single any day of the week. Nice job, J-Rod. Man, he is so hot as a hitter, you know, and again, it took him 5 years to figure out patience and to be able to kind of find himself and mature. And again, better late than never. And they usually say, you know, if you play 15 to 20 years, year 5 through 10, you get into your prime. And it looks like year 5 might be the magic year here for Julio, having a good first half and potentially a really good second half like he always does. Next up is Josh Naylor. First pitch is high and inside, 1-0 count. 2 for 4 day, probably should have been 3 for 4. Got robbed by Colson Montgomery on the tip of the glove, but Naylor has been good today, as well as on deck. Another player that's been good today, Randy Arozarena. 1-0 pitch, in there for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike from Trevor Richards to Josh Naylor. Trident's up. Let's go, M's. Let's go, Josh. No, Cal definitely is not deserving of the All-Star game this year. Yeah. I mean, unless he ends up really tearing it up, you know, at some point, you know, and ends up getting to like, you know, 20, you know, home runs plus, you know, but I don't know if that'll happen. But there is a chance that Julio and Cole Young, you know, end up making the All-Star game. 2-1 pitch. Naylor. Hard hit ball, deep center field. Gone! Naylor does it! Woo! Oh, baby! 12-5 Mariners. Let's go! This is what it feels like to, I guess, be the Dodgers. You know, again, you know, teams like the Dodgers and the Braves and the Padres and the Yankees and the Rays this year. I guess this is what it feels like to be them, you know. And again, we don't get too many times where we get into double digits, but I kind of had a feeling that we were going to get there. And nice job there by Josh Naylor, my boy. Next up is Randy Arozarena. 0-1 pitch, hard hit ball towards third, throw to first. And that is out number 3, but not after. Josh Naylor homers to center 403 feet with Donnie and Julio on board. And again, Julio wasn't able to hit the home run, but again, we've gotten a lot of home runs here today. Let's go. And again, it sucks that Emerson Hancock, you know, had a bad game, but at least we're going to win when we're going to end up, you know, having this, you know, hitting duel, at least at some point, you know, when it was 5-5, but they haven't scored anything since that, you know, moment where Julio made the wrong decision in the outfield, and we've been able to put up 7 since then. This feels good. And again, we're going to have Castillo on the mound tomorrow, our worst pitcher, who normally gives up 5 to 8 runs a game. So we're going to need a performance like this again tomorrow. And then we got Logan Gilbert on Sunday. So, you know, hopefully we don't put up like a 1 tomorrow. You know, and sometimes the Mariners, as we know, you know, when we explode for a big game, sometimes the next game we only put up a 0 to a 3. You know, that is realistic. And then if Castillo ends up giving up 5 to 8, you know, we could, you know, essentially lose, 8 to 3 or, you know, something of that nature. But hopefully, you know, the momentum will carry over. Nice job there by our boy, Josh Naylor. Love it. Way to bring the electricity late in the game, and he's been locked in all game. Let's see who's up next here for the White Sox in the bottom of the 8th. What an exciting game. Really, the only downside is Hancock, but other than that, everything else has just been Tridents up. Next up in the 3-hole, 1 for 2 with a run and a base on ball, third baseman Miguel Vargas. Batting second, 1 for 3 with 3 ribbies and a K, shortstop Colson Montgomery. And if it wasn't for Montgomery, right, then obviously it would be 12-2, not 12-5. And batting third, 1 for 3 with a K, second baseman Chase Mydroff. Tridents up. Let's go M's. On paper, this was the best lineup that we've had. Obviously Cal catching, Donovan back, and man, this is insane. I love it. Oh, and Hoppy ends up hitting Vargas, and hopefully he's okay. We know Hoppy isn't the type of player to do that on purpose. And Hoppy, is a guy that normally will get 2 or 3 strikeouts in an opportunity. I hope Vargas is okay. I don't like seeing anyone get injured, regardless if it's on our team or obviously theirs. I mean, he's kind of crowding the plate a little bit with his stance, but again, that was on Hoppy. And it looks like he's okay, and he'll make his way to first base. Come on, Hoppy. First pitch from Hoppy to Montgomery. Big swing and a miss, high and away, 0-1 count. Donovan is done, and they got Rivas at third now. And Hoppy will give us a little bit of a cushion while Brash and Spire are out. 0-1 pitch. Popped up and out of play. And again, if they don't feel comfortable with Andres Munoz, you can always go with Jose Ferrer. I ended up watching some film, earlier today and reading a few articles, and Jose Ferrer actually was the closer for half of the year for the Nationals. And we traded Harry Ford, obviously one of our, prospects for him. And, again, his numbers on paper have been good. He has had a few meltdowns and lost us a few games with him and Mooney together. But again, based on how Ferrer has been pitching lately, I think I trust him more than I do Mooney at this point. 0-2 pitch, low and into the dirt. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Hoppy to Montgomery. Oh, 1-2 pitch, high and inside, gets close to the face of Montgomery there. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Hoppy to Montgomery. This feels good, for us Mariner fans, that haven't ever given up on this team, no matter how bad things got. Again, and we had a lot more injuries this year than we did last year to key players, starters, bullpen, and guys that we count on game in and game out. And again, the American League is trash this year. Yankees are great. The Tampa Bay Rays are great, but will that sustain for a whole season? We don't know. And then everyone else is at like 500 or right around 500. 2-2 pitch popped up. Cole Young is there, and that is 1 away. But again, with all that being said, we were only 1.5 games back, from the division lead. And again, once we get healthier and start to be able to kind of come together as a squad, I do believe that we are the biggest threat to the Yankees in the American League. It's just, we have to stay vigilant. And again, eventually we'll be above 500. And once we get past the All-Star break, we should be hopefully, 5 games above 500 or more and not look back. First pitch in there to Chase Mydroff is in there for a strike looking, 0-1 count. Oh, 1 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike from Hoppy to Mydroff. 1-1 pitch. Little dribbler towards third base by Mydroth and foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Hoppy to Mydroth. Bottom of the 8th inning, 12-5 Mariners. And again, I don't care who we play when we have a 12-5 lead, whether it be the Yankees or, someone in between or, even someone that's struggling. It feels good, based on how all the things have kind of gone against us this year. And, you got to make sure you appreciate wins like this. One of the better offensive explosions that we've seen, but it also shows, we haven't had very many meltdowns by the opposing team's pitchers. And when they do, we take advantage. And again, if we can hopefully get a few more, guys get hit by pitches but not hurt and a lot of walks, that we'll be able to show that we can take advantage and put up a lot of runs on certain teams. Pitch fouled off into right field, out of play. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Hoppy to Mydroth. Bottom of the 8th inning, 12-5 Seattle. Runner at first with 1 out. Trident's up. Let's go M's. 2-2 pitch. Check swing. Did he go? And Mydroth is complaining, saying, I didn't go around, but he did. A nice job there by Alex Hoppy, settling in after, hitting a player. And normally is a guy that gets 2 or 3 strikeouts when he comes in. So I like the potential of Alex Hoppy. And next up is Andrew Benintendi. Fly out, pop up, and strikeout for Benintendi. Most people remember him when he was on the Boston Red Sox, but he has been on this team for a few years. 228 average, 2 homers, 17 ribbies. Nothing too crazy for Benintendi. 0 for 3 with a K here today. First pitch, big swing and a miss on a nasty slider. 86 miles an hour by Hoppy. 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch. Fouls that one back to the right field sign and the Toyota sign behind the plate. No balls and 2 strikes from Hoppy to Benintendi. And again, even though Emerson Hancock, didn't have a great game, Luke Raleigh with the, 7 RBIs and the grand salami and the 3-run jack, homers by Julio and Naylor. Again, sometimes it can't be a perfect game. And as you get Benintendi getting his first hit of the game as it rolls out there into right field. And I think Vargas is hustling to third and safe. Runners now at first and third with 2 outs. And hopefully we can keep them at 5 before this game is over. And again, it's all about playing up to the competition and not playing down to the competition. Like when we play the A's and the Angels and the Royals, we play down to them, regardless if they have a winning record or not. But when we play a team like the Braves, we're going to bring our A game. And again, I was really hoping that we weren't going to play down, to the White Sox. And they're a much better team this year than they have been in years past. Normally they are like the worst team in baseball, right? And again, after getting obviously Munetaka Murakami, the vibe has changed where this team is above average. They're not the bottom feeder team anymore. And again, we have brought our A game here today, and it shows. 0-1 pitch to Kelenic. And Kelenic with a line drive right in front of Julio. And that's going to bring in a run and an RBI single for Jared Kelenic. And obviously he was 0 for 3, just like, Mydroth. But then they ended up finding a way to get their first hit. And now it's 12-6. As long as, they don't get too close here. StatCast era, Kelenic, Zunino, and Nelson Cruz with the longest home runs in Mariner history. 482 feet by Kelenic, number 1. Next up in the 8-hole, center fielder Tristan Peters. All right, can't give up any more singles, doubles, or home runs here. And Hoppy giving up another hit, and this is kind of looking like the 2-inning game that we put him in when we first brought him up. He's definitely not looking good here today. And another hit there to Tristan Peters. And Hoppy having a mini meltdown here. And luckily we're, at 12-6. Can you imagine, if we were, at 7-6 right now, based on the flow of the game, we could potentially lose. especially if Mooney would come in if we were only up by like a run. But obviously they're still rolling right now, and now they have runners at second and third with 2 outs. So we just have to be thankful, for Josh Naylor and Julio giving them the insurance on top of, Luke Raley with 2 home runs, a grand salami, and a 3-run jack. Because again, White Sox have 7, and again, how often do we even get to 7 ourselves? Not often. So magic number for us is typically 5 runs, 7 to 10 hits, but we have to be very thankful that we got those additional home runs by Julio and Naylor. Otherwise, if the score is like, let's say 7-7 right now, we probably lose this game. So based on the momentum, and hopefully Hoppy can settle down here and not give up any more, because in one more big base hit, it could end up being 12-10, and we don't want that. First pitch is high and away, 1-0 count. But again, remember, we don't have Brash and we don't have Spire. So obviously you have Cooper Criswell, you got Jose Ferrer, and again, Mooney is not really trustworthy, and obviously he'd be in the 9th inning. 1-0 pitch, low and away. And we got Cooper Criswell in the bullpen, and he's been, pretty reliable for the most part. So, and maybe they should have went with Criswell instead of Hoppy, but, when you're bringing up a AAA guy and you have Brash and Spire hurt, you got to give him opportunities. 2-0 pitch, and good defense. Cole Young saving 2 runs. And again, if Cole Young doesn't make that clutch play on defense, you best believe the score would have been 12-9. And who knows if we end up winning this game or not. I mean, you would assume that we would. But again, I don't think anyone anticipated the White Sox getting to fucking 7 and then having runners at second and third and one more big base knock. It's 12-9. So, a no lead, is really comfortable if you're a Mariner fan based on what we've seen in our bullpen as well as Andres Munoz this year. But thankfully, Cole Young makes that athletic grab. And again, he saved us 2 runs right there, because if he doesn't make that catch, it easily turns into 12-9. And then who the hell knows what happens? You have Mooney come in, and we're up 3 runs, and he gives up 3, and then we lose this game 13-12. Mariner fans would riot, so including myself. All right, let's go to the top of the 9th inning, and let's see if we can make up a run or 2 for what Hoppy put us in there in that little mini meltdown. And again, Hoppy overall has been great. He's only really had 2 mini meltdowns. His first start where they made him go 2 innings, which was obviously on the Mariners. And then this is his first kind of mini meltdown coming in for just a half inning. So hopefully we don't see it too often. Next up for the Mariners, 1 for 2 with 2 runs, 2 walks, and a K, J.P. Crawford. Batting second, 2 for 4 with 2 runs, a grand salami, and a 3-run blast, 7 RBIs, and a K. The last time that anyone has done what Luke Raley did, Nelson Cruz. It's been a minute. Nice job, Luke Raley. And then batting third, 0 for 2, right fielder and DHer, Rob Refsnyder. Let's go, Rob. End of the 8th inning, 12-7 Mariners. And I'm just so happy that we had that extra insurance by Naylor and Julio, because again, if it's 8-7 right now, I don't know if I feel comfortable. Gained another sub since the last commercial break. Appreciate you. 92 subs to 24,100. We're at 20 on the dono train, I believe. 80 to go. Dominguez comes in for the White Sox. And if you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 200. We're at 151. We're at 151 likes, 49 to 200. Dominguez comes into the game here for the White Sox. J.P. Crawford in the box. Oh, 1 pitch. J.P. fouls that one into left field, out of play. No balls and 2 strikes. For Dominguez to J.P. Crawford. Anytime Cole Young ends up having a underwhelming performance, maybe in the box, he'll make up for it defensively. Here, let me flip this up here. I don't know what the hell happened. Hold on. Something happened with the ESPN here. Let me get it flipped up here. And J.P. Crawford with a little slow dribbler. And throw to first, and that is one away. All right, I think we're good now. All right, down goes JP. All right, Luke Raleigh, you got 2 home runs and 7 RBIs. Can you do the unthinkable and hit 3 home runs in a game? Normally Dan Wilson doesn't even let a guy have a chance, to hit that second home run. Usually pulls him, whether it's Luke Raleigh or Dominic Canzone coming in for like a righty, bringing in a Connor Joe or a Rob Refsnyder. But thankfully he didn't. And Luke Raleigh hit that other 3-run blast after a grand salami. 0-1 pitch, high and away. Dominguez on the mound, Raleigh in the box. But could you imagine if Raleigh gets a hold of another one here? And now Raleigh is the home run leader with 8. Cal with 7. Julio has climbed up to third with 6. 1-1 pitch, low and away. But a lot of the players on the Mariners are at, at least a minimum of 2 or 3. So it's pretty well-rounded, And again, we know Cal obviously is not, in sync yet, but hopefully he will be sooner than later. 2-1 pitch. And Raleigh pops it up behind the plate and out of play. Two balls and 2 strikes to Luke Raleigh in one of the best games in his professional career. And I'm glad that I was able to call it here and watch this game with you guys. 2-2 pitch. And Raleigh fouls that one back behind the plate. Cameron, Blowers, and Alvin Davis. And the Cameron obviously was 4 home runs in one game. So obviously, hitting 3 or 4 in a game is definitely not easy. 2-2 pitch. And that is strike 3 looking. Down goes Luke Raleigh. So we're not going to get a third home run out of Luke, but that's okay. A 7 RBI game is just fucking insane. Like you literally did, everything that you could besides getting 2 grand salamis. And like, let's be honest, like how often do you hear about that out of any player in MLB getting 2 grand slams in a game? Like fucking never. So, he ended up doing one of the, hardest things to do, hit a grand salami and a 3-run blast. Next up is Rob Refsnyder. First pitch from Rob and a little dribbler towards third base and foul. 0-1 count. Top of the 9th inning. Glad Mariners have a 5-run cushion rather than like a 1-run cushion, because if we were only up a run, I don't really feel comfortable, with Mooney. But again, we will see if they end up bringing in Ferrer or if they'll give Mooney another shot to, play well and close the game out, or if he'll have a fucking meltdown again. Alvin Davis, the original OG for the Mariners in the 80s. Mike Blowers, and then Mike Cameron. 0-1 pitch, low and away, 4-seam fastball, 98 miles an hour, 1 ball and 1 strike to Rob Refsnyder. But if you're a newer fan, you don't really know who Alvin Davis is, but you should, look that up if you aren't really too familiar. There's still quite a few, players on the Mariners in the 80s and 90s that really did a lot of damage, to the opponents. Love me some John Olerud and some Tino Martinez as well. Pitch fouled off there by Refsnyder. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Dominguez to Refsnyder. 1-2 pitch. Big swing and a miss. Down goes Refsnyder, and that is out number 3. All right, we go to the bottom of the 9th. Luckily, we're up by 5. 12 runs, 12 hits, no errors for the Mariners. 7 runs, 9 hits, and an error for the White Sox. And again, we've had an amazing collection of players, even though we haven't been able to get to a World Series and win. Love me some Richie Sexson, while he was here for a few years. Loved Raul Ibanez, Nelson Cruz, Kyle Seager, Felix Hernandez. It's like just kind of a damn shame that we had a 20-year drought where a lot of those guys, specifically Felix and a few others, really deserved to taste what the playoffs was all about. But, again, that's what really makes this Mariner squad special. We don't really have people that cheat or cut corners. And eventually, we're going to be able to, get to that big game. And we almost got there last season. All right, let's go to the bottom of the 9th. And let's win this game for Rick Riz. 50th anniversary for the Mariners. 40-plus years on the radio. He's going to be obviously leaving after this season. One of the greatest to ever call Mariner games. And let's win it for Riz. And let's win it for Dave Niehaus in baseball heaven. Next up for the White Sox in the bottom of the ninth, 2 for 4 with a run and an RBI, left fielder Sam Antonacci. Batting second, 1 for 3 with 2 runs, an RBI, a base on ball, and a big home run in the first. First baseman Munetaka Murakami, an absolute fucking monster from Japan. And batting third in the 3-hole, third baseman, former Dodger. Second best player as far as consistency, more times than not for Chicago, after Murakami, Miguel Vargas. And I'm curious to see, what are we doing here? Are we bringing in Andres Munoz? Or are we going to... No, we're not bringing in Mooney. We're going to bring in Simpson, and he's going to make his MLB debut. Coming up from AAA, so no Mooney. I don't know if I really want to see Mooney anyways. All right, Josh Simpson getting the call up there from the Tacoma Rainiers. And Grichuk is pitch hitting. And obviously they don't have too many photos of Josh. This was probably the best one that I could find when he got the call up. First pitch in there for a strike. Grichuk is pinch hitting there for Antonacci. 0-1 count. 0-1 pitch. Hard hit ball. Deep left field. Hits the pole. And a big home run there by Randall Grichuk. Wow, that's not ideal. Imagine if we were only up a run. Same thing could have happened with Mooney, though. And now the former Yankee hitting a big home run there on Josh Simpson. That's not ideal when you make your MLB debut, you know. But again, next up now is Murakami. Can't give up back-to-back homers, can we? You know, Luke Raleigh definitely ended up giving us this lead. But again, we have to really be thankful for Julio and Naylor, you know, for adding on here late. Because if they don't hit the home runs and we're sitting at 8-8 right now, we probably lose this game, if we're being honest. 0-1 pitch, big swing and a miss. No balls and 2 strikes, and now they got Mooney warming up. I'm not sure if that's the guy that I want. Probably would rather have Ferrer warming up, but... ...0-2 pitch, low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Josh Simpson to Munetaka Murakami. Oh, yeah. Love me some Jay Buhner Bones. Brett Boone. I mean, we've had so many amazing players. Harold Reynolds. 1-2 pitch. Hard hit ball by Murakami. And foul. And Murakami foul balls and home run balls are very coveted in Chicago. He'll be an all-star this year. There's no doubt about that. And it's been a minute since the White Sox actually had an all-star that they could really get behind. You know, obviously they had Frank Thomas back in the day and a few others. But it definitely gives you kind of big hurt vibes now in Chicago. 1-2 pitch, high and inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Simpson to Murakami. Finished strong here. Probably should have went with Cooper Criswell or Ferrer, but, you know, it is what it is. 2-2 pitch, big swing and a miss, and Simpson gives up a home run to Grichuk, but then he can tell his family, hey, I struck out Murakami. And not many guys can say that in baseball in 2026. And that is 1 away. Nice job there by Josh Simpson after giving up the home run to the former Yankee, Randall Grichuk, and then ends up striking out one of the hottest hitters in baseball, Munetaka Murakami. Next up is Miguel Vargas. First pitch, gets that corner beautifully, high and away, 0-1 count. But again, it's never always easy for us, is it? No matter how many runs we score, no matter how many punch outs we get, 14 with Emerson Hancock, sometimes we don't win those games, even when we make history, and again, we just have to find a way here. Cole Young, nice dribbler, throw to Naylor, bang, and that is 2 away. And again, we haven't had a capable, defensive second baseman as, clutch as Cole Young. Imagine if Polo, was still here. Again, we appreciated his hitting, and he was awesome in the ALDS Game 5. Didn't do a whole lot in the ALCS against the Blue Jays, but he is a bad defender. And again, he's obviously been going through some injuries with the Mets, and we know how the Mets have been going. But Cole Young is a huge improvement from Polo defensively. Next up is Colson Montgomery. First pitch in there for a strike, 0-1 count. Andrew with a tenner, appreciate you. He said, go M's, I enjoy watching your content when at work or at home. Like now, this game has been fun. Luke with the nukes. Love seeing Josh stare down the pitcher after that dinger. Me too. Appreciate you. We're at 30 on the dono train because of Andrew. Appreciate you very, very much. Is this your first dono to the channel? I usually am pretty good with names unless people change their screen name and whatnot. But if this is the first dono to the channel, thank you so much. Sometimes, you got to grind it out. And there's a lot of people watching, in the United States and all over the globe. Some are a little bit more shy, that won't really chat in the fan chat. And obviously, the biggest honor that you can get here as a streamer is someone, donating to the channel to continue the dream. And I appreciate you, Andrew, very much. Big swing and a miss, low and away there from Colson Montgomery, who ended up having that really big 3-run RBI double that Julio mistimed in the outfield to make it 5-5 when we ended up having a 5-2 lead. But we were able to respond with 7 more runs after that. And again, we're hanging on to a 4-run lead now. 1-2 pitch, big swing and a miss. And Simpson ends up closing the game out. Yeah, he did give up the big home run to Randall Grichuk, but again, ended up striking out a few batters here in his MLB debut from the Tacoma Rainiers. So again, kind of, ironic, that the Mariners do this, right? Sometimes we fuck up, but then sometimes we make up for it and we end up doing a couple good things as well. Nice job overall. The home run stunk, giving that up, but at least getting a couple punch outs in your MLB debut. We got to love that. Final score, Mariners 12, White Sox 8. And again, sometimes it's not always pretty for us, but we got the job done. And when the Mariners win, what do? We fucking dance. Mariners win, Mariners win, Mariners win. Fuck yeah. And again, we're carrying over, winning 2 out of 3 where we could have swept the Braves, but the momentum is definitely in our favor. And we're going to need it because we got Luis Castillo, our worst pitcher, on the mound tomorrow, and then Logan Gilbert. And Logan hasn't really been very good either. So, again, we don't want to win just one game in this series. We want to try to be able to win 2 out of 3 or potentially sweep. But great job overall. And obviously, as we know, Naylor and Julio with home runs. But the hero today, a grand salami and a 3-run blast with 7 RBIs today, MVP Luke Raleigh. What a game. And I'm going to go over the stats here in just a moment. And again, every loss, this year has really stung, right? But the wins, after starting off as the worst hitting team in baseball, and then playing the Astros and winning 4 in a row, that was really the first turning point in the season. And we're going to have these certain games that are going to be turning points for the Mariners, where, maybe we go and get swept, by the Royals. And we, just like when we got swept, by the Padres, it's like we always do one really good thing. And then right when we start to feel ourselves, winning 3 or 4 in a row, what happens? We get slapped in the mouth and then we end up losing like 3 in a row. And then we have to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off and try to win again. Right. And it's going to be a kind of peaks and valleys with this team. But again, going into the game, we were only 1.5 games back. And it's going to be here in a few days where we end up being number 1, in the AL West. Yeah, I know our record isn't great. We're 19-20, but once we get above 500, hopefully we don't look back. And again, we're going to end up going through ups and downs, but again, even with the slow start for the Mariners, there's only 2 good teams in the American League out of 15. So we have to be thankful that, yeah, it's not going our way from last year, but we're right there in the mix. And then once we get above 500 and we can get maybe 3, 4, 5 games above 500, we can really start feeling good, about this team, especially, when we get Bryce Miller back, Victor Robles back, Matt Brash back, Gabe Spire back. we don't have access to these guys when we call up Cade Anderson and Colt Emerson. So again, this team has got a lot of depth. And again, injuries have hit us pretty hard, but again, this is a really, really fun team, and I wouldn't count us out. And we're still the biggest threat to the Yankees and the Rays in the American League. Big facts. Don with another 20. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for your support. And Don got a chance to go to a game recently with family, and anytime you can bring the kiddos along for a game, it always makes a great, great memory. Now let's go over the stats here for both teams. First off, we'll start off with the White Sox. All right, so Sam Antonacci, 2 for 4 with a run and an RBI. Munetaka Murakami, 1 for 4 with 2 runs, a home run, and an RBI early in the game. And we know how amazing Munetaka Murakami has been, one of the leaders in home runs with Aaron Judge and Matt Olson. It's just incredible to see the fast start for Munetaka Murakami. And just getting him on the team has changed the perception of this White Sox team. They are no longer the worst team in baseball. They are going to be, average to above average, and that is a great thing to see. Next up, third baseman, 1 for 3 with 2 runs. In the 3-hole, Miguel Vargas. Colson Montgomery, 1 for 5 and 3 RBIs off that mistake from Julio. Chase Mydroff ended up going 1 for 4. Andrew Benintendi, 1 for 4 with a run. Jared Kelenic, 1 for 4 with an RBI. Tristan Peters, 1 for 3 with an RBI. And Drew Romo, no relation to Tony, 0 for 4. And then obviously it really got started off with, Sean Burke, right? 4.1 innings pitched, 6 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 Ks, 74 pitches, 52 strikes. And then obviously, a little bit of a meltdown with a few of the other guys as well. Newcomb was good, but then obviously Davis gave up 3 runs, Richard gave up 3 runs, and then Dominguez was pretty good as well. So half of the guys, including the starter, had meltdowns, and we're very appreciative of that. And now let's go with the Mariners. Brendan Donovan, first game back, going 1 for 5 with a run. And I'm glad that he is back as our leadoff hitter. Cal Raleigh, 0 for 5. Now, 0 for 13 in 3 games, 2 games at DH, and this is the first game as catcher. His batting average is 169. We need to get him above 200. Less home run swings, more single swings, please. I still love you. Batting third, 2 for 5 with 2 runs, a home run. Julio Rodriguez, one of the hottest hitters for the Mariners in the last 20 games. He has been incredible. More than likely, Julio will have a very good chance of making the All-Star game with Cole Young this year. Josh Naylor, absolutely phenomenal game, one of the best in a Mariner uniform. 3 for 5, 3 runs, a home run, and 3 ribbies. Great job by Josh Naylor. Another individual with a fantastic game. 3 for 4 with 2 runs. Randy Arozarena, a very consistent hitter for us this year. JP Crawford, 1 for 3 with 2 runs. And the MVP, 2 for 5 with 2 runs, 2 home runs, and 7 ribbies. Luke Raley. I mean, again, a grand salami and a 3-run blast. Unbelievable, right? Love that for Luke Raley. Dominic Canzone, 0 for 1. Rob Refsnyder, 0 for 3. And then Cole Young ended up going 0 for 2, but ended up getting an RBI. And then obviously we know Emerson Hancock is probably the only piece that we can say that really wasn't good besides Hoppy and Simpson. They're late. But again, 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 Ks, 94 pitches, 55 strikes. He ends up giving up 5. Hoppy gives up, 2. Simpson gives up 1, but gets at 2 Ks, and we win this game 12-8. And we're only 1 game below 500. So, again, we're going to go through peaks and valleys, where, the hitting is good, but then the defense is suspect. And, maybe the bullpen is a little shaky. And remember, we don't have our number 1 and our number 3 available, Matt Brash, as well as, Gabe Spire. But 12 runs, man, it feels good to be able to score, double digits against fucking anybody. And again, I can't wait for tomorrow. Hopefully Luis Castillo, doesn't give up 5 to 10 runs. And if he does, hopefully we can have a game like this to kind of compensate. I don't want to lose tomorrow 8-0. So hopefully we can end up finding a way to get the job done. So Shout out to Don with a $5. Shout out to Rebecca with a $5. Shout out to Andrew with a $10, and then Don with another $20. Thank you so much with all the support. So we are at what, 40? So I appreciate that. You know, every single dollar counts, you know, to be able to take care of my pup and, you know, pay for the internet and the streaming fee and Mariners TV that costs $20 a month to do this stream for you guys. And I love you guys. And again, what a game. 12 runs, 12 hits, no errors, even though Julio kind of mistimed that one ball in the outfield. And luckily, you know, we ended up getting good extra run support with home runs by Julio and Naylor, because if it ended up being 8-8, who knows if we end up winning this game? Maybe we end up losing 9-8. So we have to be thankful for Luke Raleigh with the grand salami and the 3-run jack, but to be able to give us that cushion and that insurance, and I'm not talking Geico, you know, shout out to Julio and especially Josh Naylor, you know, to give us that insurance that we truly needed here late in the game, because we definitely have been shaky in the bullpen as of late. So I'll be live tomorrow for Castillo on the mound. Let's hold our breath. And then we got Logan Gilbert on Sunday, and hopefully we can end up sweeping or win 2 out of 3. But we definitely have been, you know, on a little bit of momentum curve since winning 2 out of 3 versus the Braves, which we should have won 3 out of 3, but we'll take it. Well, I love you guys, and I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you to every single person, that liked, sub, donated, commented, and shared. Final score, Mariners 12, White Sox 8. And I got one question for you. Who you know talks sports like us? Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, and I am out. Try to heads up and go Mariners.